The train headed for Sunset City will be departing soon.
Okay.
Yep.
Is the input correct today? Yes, it is. The microphone input is indeed correct. Hello, everybody. Guys, say hi.
Oh, hello.
Oh, I thought you were talking to them. Hi, everybody. Hello.
So today, is a Sunset City episode, but for some reason, even though we've got an off-track thing, there's just been this tradition of whenever there's a Spider-Man movie, we do a spoiler cast for it on Sunset City, even though it's a Sonic podcast. So today's episode will be quite light on Sonic topics. We'll still have a little bit of, like, news at the start, and by news, I mean ridicule, but, you know, we'll get
Hey, there's
into...
one good piece of news.
Oh, okay, well, you could tell me what that is, but, like, there's...
No, KB posted in our Discord earlier. I think the Sonic the Hedgehog official channel posted this, but apparently that Shadow the Hedgehog motorcycle they've been showing it off and touring.
Charity live stream,
Touring with
right?
their,
Not charity live stream.
well, they're going to be
charity...
auctioning that off for charity. So that's
Yes.
a really nice thing. That's
I'm
really
glad
cool.
it's a charity thing as well. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know what charity, because I didn't watch the whole video, but, I mean, glad to
It
see that they're
does-
not just going to throw it in a warehouse and let it sit there, so...
It does mean, though, that the Year of Shadow is over.
Finally.
Oh.
After
Wah.
3 years.
That's
Where's my Year of
It's
Silver?
sad. It was easily the best year to be a Sonic fan, the Year of Shadow.
Oh, yeah. Which is crazy to think.
It
In a
was
very
such
long
a good
time.
year. Like, all eyes were
best
on
year in a
Sonic.
while.
And they just... They knocked it out of the park. They had Shadow Generations at a time when everyone was buying, like, the next Sonic game because the big movie was coming out. And the movie was sick. Like, damn, that was awesome. Okay, so, yeah. Welcome, everybody, to Sunset City, the Spider-Man podcast for the classic and modern age. With me today is Dylan.
Hey, what's up? Hello.
We've got Ian Waffles.
Hello.
And I regret to inform you that Tom Topics' very brief stint as a Sunset City co-host has come to an end because he is a cunt. There you go. There's my answer to that.
There you go.
I don't know if is he not coming back?
No, he's coming back. I'm just ripping on the poor guy.
He can't defend
Jesus,
himself.
all right.
He has to go all in.
Yeah, he's no. I was mainly just celebrating the fact that we no longer are beholden to the rules of Podbean.
Indeed.
We can now say that. I mean, obviously, like, the video VODs will get, like, less monetization, but, like, let's be real, no one really watches the VODs. Like, they watch live. Like, that's how people like the show. But, yeah, Sunset City news. I don't know if you guys caught in the previous episode. I'll just catch everybody up. Sunset City is leaving Podbean on August 16th. The episodes go only as far on Podbean as, I think, an impromptu interrogation. And there's no plans on updating that any further. Like, our time on the podcast streaming services is now coming to a close. Obviously, apologies to the people that did prefer listening to it that way, but again, it become a sunken cost fallacy. And we do have an alternative now. If you do visit our Patreon page, all episodes of Sunset City are available in MP3 format, so you can download them whenever, listen to them whenever. I'm explaining to you what offline content is like it's a novel concept, I know, but, like, you know, I think it's gonna be quite good, you know, like, you can YouTube poop it effectively. You could turn it into YTPs, like, you couldn't do that with the podcast streaming service.
Yeah,
That's
that'll be
pretty cool.
fine.
Yeah. And, of course, a special shout-out goes to the patrons in the Bat Enjoyer tier. Their names are not on the screen yet. Get that. They are My Great Rolls, Ven101, Aiden Fitzgerald, Stardust Chaos, Crimson Rose, Mr. SP, and KB. Thank you, folks, so much for being so generous. And while we're at it, yeah, Super Chats are read out at the end of the episode. That is done for flow. And with that, we're kind of ready, right? Like, we can go now, yeah?
Sounds
yeah,
good.
no, I don't think there's anything else crazy we need to touch on, unless there's Sonic stuff I don't know about or care about.
All right, well, in that case, good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for being here, guys.
No, but okay.
All right.
All right, the Sonic
Now
fans
they're,
gone
now
now.
that they're all gone, we can talk about what we really care about. Spider-Man.
Well, first, give me the Sonic news.
Oh, Spider-Man, let's talk about the Mets, Spider-Man. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wait.
all about the Mets.
We already talked about the charity auction, didn't we? We've already kind of touched on that, but
Yeah,
it's
we're
cool.
done.
It's a
We're done.
what?
I said we're done. We don't have to do anything else. We just talk about Spider-Man.
We will talk about, so we just have a couple of Sonics to talk about, okay? Just a couple of Sonics before we get into Spider-Man. I know we're all very eager to
Alrighty.
talk Spider-Man, but we just got a couple of Sonics to get to first, okay?
Alrighty.
So yeah, there's the motorcycle. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't get to see it in person. I don't know many people that did, to be honest, but like it was a cool thing to happen. However, there's a new toy line for Sonic, partnershiping with a company called Ancory, I believe. Announcing a Sonic collection, and it's going to knock your socks off. And a lot of the product images, all of the product images, including packaging, are fucking AI generated. So that's cool. Gotta love that.
Let's
Oh.
go.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Gotta love another instance of Sega or a Sega
Embarrassing.
partner using it. After we've, pointed out that Sega have been just sneaking it in the back door, just slipping it in there without consent. And, I want to rephrase that immediately. But, they have just been trying to be sneaky about it. And there is this
You're really
constant
not
thing of,
you didn't clock that before you said it out loud, or is that part
unfortunately not, Dylan. It's an unfortunate thing of, shit, this is just how it, at the end of the day,
I mean, if you had just left it at the first sentence there, you hadn't added the second part. I feel like
that
nobody
was
would've-
that was not the second part of the sentence that was originally intended. That was the editing room of the brain kind of fucked that one. But what was filmed was
Yeah,
actually
no, I mean
very...
that's fine.
It was
I
more
was
just
okay.
it was more just hey, regardless of whether people want it or not, we're gonna stick AI in this thing. You know what? It still sounds the same. It really sounds the same. We'll move on from the point. The fact is, fucking AI is fucking stupid, and they're stupid for it. And I'm kind of sick of saying, oh, but it's just the partners. But it's kind of convenient that it's always the same fucking Sega at the fucking top of it. And at the end of the day, it is Sega's responsibility to provide these companies with brand guidelines, brand images, and stuff like that. So whether or not this company are just using placeholders, either way, vet your fucking collaborators, Sega. Vet your fucking collaborators better. Because, this isn't on. But also, I just love how, Sega are oh my god, IDW artists, how dare you make sure that Sonic's muzzle circumference doesn't match his in-game models. We have standards to uphold here, people. And then they'll be like, hey, looks fine to me on the fucking AI product images going public. And that's the thing I've always found funny about this AI bullshit, is that there are so many companies that spent fucking decades with balls and chains attached to their graphic designers to maintain standards. But then the second there's a big cheap alternative, a big cheapity cheap alternative that looks really, really cheap and makes you look broke, suddenly we're all over it like a fly on shit. I don't really care whose fault it is, whether it's Sega or the partnership. Enough's a fucking enough. Sega, get the fucking message. Cut it out with the AI.
You know what's funny, too?
Yeah, go
They
ahead.
literally could have just used any render that they've been using for the last 10 years, and it would have been infinitely better than the shitty-ass, smeary, gross images they put on there. They're all, out of proportion. They're all, very clearly off-brand. It's something you would see on Temu or something. Just use the ones you've been using. There's no reason to not just use an Eggman render from, 2003 if you have that. Just do that. It's fine.
And, without... I realize that this risks praising any form of AI, but
if those are the two, hold on, sorry. If those are the two options, I mean, I know in the past we've said things like, why don't they make new renders for anything? If the two options right now are use AI to make shit or use an old render, just use the old render.
No, I agree completely. No, I 100% agree with that. That being said, that's the AI boom isn't going to necessarily make me suddenly accept the old renders as well. I'll still make fun of that shit, but I'd much rather have it. Let's put it this way. I would definitely rather you piss in my throat than shit in it. That's kind of the message I want to send to Sega there. But please stop pissing in my throat as well.
This just in, Channel Pup is a toilet. We did not know
No,
this.
I'm not a toilet. I'm just saying, look, I don't like these
It's
things
taking-
because
really
toilets
taking
love
advantage
that.
of not being on Podbean anymore.
Toilets love that shit, okay? They love it. That's why they do what they do. But, like, I'm not a toilet.
Always make sure to thank your toilets.
Remember to thank... Well, the toilet should be thanking you, to be honest. They love it.
Okay.
Did you ever see, like,
Anyway.
the talking toilet in Better Call Saul, where it's just like, drop more in me!
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Fill me up! It's so fucking
Jesus
funny.
Christ.
Oh, God, I have learned quickly that
Ugh.
crime dramas are funnier than comedies.
Well, Better Call Saul is definitely part comedy. It's like a dark comedy, I would say.
I would say that
in most
Breaking Bad
cases.
is also kind of part comedy, but the thing is, I've been watching just a lot of crime drama between Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, and Fargo. And they're all hilarious. All of these shows are so deeply unserious in parts.
I know this is not a crime drama or anything what you're saying, but like we were just talking about Superman and Lois from the CW earlier, and there are some lines in that show that made me like almost piss my pants laughing, and they come out of nowhere because it is a very dramatic show in most cases. Like there's one part where there are characters going through a divorce. There are two characters going through a divorce,
Divorce.
and like one of the characters is talking to Lois, and she gets mad at Lois for something. I think it's because they're hiding the Superman secret. And Lois goes up to Clark and she's like, "Hey, Clark, guess who Lana hates more than you right now?" Because he didn't tell her the secret. And Clark literally looks so confused and genuine about it. He goes, Kyle, like her husband. I like fucking lost my shit. It was so funny. Like he was so genuine about it because he just didn't know. It's so fucking funny. That's a great show. Superman and Lois is a very funny show. I mean, very good, very funny in some cases.
So when did you just randomly start watching Superman and Lois again?
It was probably like a week or two ago. Dave and I just Dave and I have been watching My Adventures with Superman, and it kind
I
of
can't believe I haven't been being invited to these. I am the biggest Superman.
Oh, I just didn't like. We're usually watching shit really late at night, so it's like I figure you're asleep. But like
I probably am.
but like the thing is,
Realistically.
like it's like 9 p.m. or later usually. But like we were watching My Adventures with Superman, and that was the first show that really got me to actually care about anything
they're
Superman related. So I was kind
They
of
are
like
using their time zones as a means of blocking me out of their Superman watch.
exactly. But like I was like, hey, do you want to try watching some of the other shows? Because I'm curious about like the CW one. I've seen clips, and I was kind of curious as to how it is. We started watching that one. And I was like, this is fucking awesome.
The CW.
Yeah, and then I mean, I used to like The Flash, but I burned out on that show hard because it sucks ass like 90% of the time.
It
But
made
then
me kind of
we
just
finished
feel
that
weird
show-
because, like, I didn't even
It's
like
just
the
weird.
good seasons of Flash. I think
It's just fine.
Well,
Like
the
when
thing-
it's good, it's okay.
Well, the thing I was going to say is I didn't think the Flash was okay when it was good, if that makes sense. Like, I
Oh,
thought
really? I
season
thought
one...
it was fine when it was good. But
Well, that was
it
the
just
weird
bad.
thing
It's
for me,
really
was
bad
just-
when it's bad.
Well, that was the weird thing for me, was like when I watched The Flash season 1. So I didn't expect to like Superman and Lois at all, despite like the good reviews and shit. Because I was like, I don't even like the good CW. Like, because I just hate
Yeah.
the way dialogue is just written by that network. I know the network doesn't write it, but
I think actually we kind of looked into it. I believe that the first 3 seasons were not made specifically by the CW. They were just like releasing them. Like it was because season 4 they said it was CW made mainly, and like I noticed a few tropes from like other CW shows pop up in season 4, but it wasn't like anything egregious. It didn't ruin anything. But since it's completely disconnected from the other Arrowverse shows, like it uses the same actors that appeared in previous crossovers. But in that being like the Superman actor and the Lois Lane actor
are you
were
sure
in
you're not
previous
getting this
CW
confused
crossovers.
with the Supergirl series? Because the first season of Supergirl aired on ABC. However, it was made by the same crew as The Flash and stuff. It's just that ABC
I'm not
were
positive, but
'Cause
it's
I'm pretty sure,
I believe
like,
we
the
looked it up, and it
Flash-
said the first 3 seasons they didn't actually own the rights to the first 3 seasons. They only owned the rights to the 4th season when they were making it.
I believe
So
it
I'm not
was
sure.
still overall the same kind of production team. However, they did change showrunners going from seasons 2 to 3
Thank God.
to 4, I believe.
But it's anyway, my point was having it be disconnected from the rest of the Arrowverse, the best thing that they chose to do. 100%.
Oh,
It's so
100%,
nice
yeah.
that it wasn't tethered to any of that garbage.
Well,
But,
also, that was the thing as well, is I thought that the Tyler Hoechlin version of Superman kind of sucked. Until I saw Superman and Lois. Now, to be fair, it's not by any means Tyler Hoechlin's fault. Again, like, for some reason, CW just tends to lead to acting rot. I didn't think that much of Grant Gustin in the role of the Flash. But the thing is, Grant Gustin is an incredibly skilled actor. But I found that his Barry has 2 modes. And it didn't service that.
Yeah,
So I was
shitty
very
and sad.
surprised by Superman and Lois for the quality, for the fact that the dialogue wasn't talking to me like I was 3 years old, for
It's
the
also
fact that it wasn't as
very
insipid.
funny. I have to say about Grant Gustin's Flash, I enjoyed him as the Flash a million times more when he was crossing over on other shows, because it
I
seems like
agree.
every other show that he was in the Flash,
happier.
in like the Arrowverse, would write him a million times better than the actual Flash writers
He'd
would.
be happier.
Just
I
really
remember
funny.
like the first of the Supergirl crossovers
He's like
with the Flash.
funny. He uses powers creatively. Like it's insane. It's night and day from when he's on his own show. It's
Yeah.
really sad.
I find it
'Cause he
actually
has the
really
range,
fucking
clearly.
funny that the Spider-Man spoiler cast has been so hot and heavy with Superman conversation.
Well, just starting out, I guess, like, it's just that kind of stuff to, like, set up. And I guess the last thing I'll say about it is watch Superman and Lois. It's a very good show. And I just started watching Smallville, like the older Superman show. And so far, it is so early 2000s coded because it came out in early 2000s. And I'm fucking loving it. Like, they open the show, like, every episode with a super duper on the nose needle drop. And it is so adorable. Like, I love it. Like, there's an episode about a guy with bug powers, and they literally start an episode with a Papa Roach song. And I was like, you guys, you fuckers are so smart. I love it. Like,
They should have had Superman
man.
like smoke a cigarette and he puts a roach in the end of it to ensure that he doesn't get any tobacco leaves in his throat. And then he's like,
he smokes
Papa
some
Roach.
kryptonite cigarettes, yeah.
Yeah, he smokes exactly. He smokes the green.
Anyway, yeah, Superman's pretty good. I spent a lot of time not caring about Superman because I just thought it was like, oh, he's invincible. What are they really going to do to make any of this feel like there's stakes or like I care about anything? But my adventures with Superman really showed me that it is not just about him being invincible. There's a lot more going on. And then Superman and Lois was... I can't believe how much I like that. Like, every single
Superman
character...
has never been
thought was
about the
great.
powers. Like, I mean, it has. That's a lie.
From the outside, though, I never knew that. That's the thing. Like, from the outside, I'm like, why would I care about watching an invincible protagonist do anything?
I mean,
You
the
know,
same
like-
reason you watch a dozen invincible protagonists in other superhero movies.
But they're not like I know Spider-Man and like other characters like that are strong. They have like a lot of stuff going for them. They have good healing factors, but I never really felt the same way about like Spider-Man versus Superman. Like I could see Spider-Man getting like himself ripped apart, and like I still would be like, okay, Peter could die here because he's died before.
Sure, but like
Superman,
the
I guess, has
stakes-
died.
Well, the stakes
But, you know,
with
like,
Superman are not just is the main character going to die, basically. Like, it's are the people he wants to protect going to survive. But also it's like the joyous fantasy of like all the power of a tyrant, but through an idealist instead. Like, that's the joy of Superman. Which is why I've never just got the whole like, oh, but if he can't die, there's no stakes. It's like, well, no, like he loves his planet. Like, the planet could blow up.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean,
There's plenty
anyway,
of,
I mean that's,
you know,
that's my Superman spiel for now. Yeah.
Well, before we get into Spider-Man Brand New Day proper, I did want to kind of just round table ask, what's your favorite Spider-Man movie? Like, before Brand New Day.
Ian, you want to chime in? Sorry, I've been talking the whole time. If you go for it.
My favorite Spider-Man movie, it probably won't ever be topped, is Into the Spider-Verse. Mostly just because I adore animation, and that movie.
No, sorry, I
obviously
meant a
looks gorgeous.
real movie, Ian, not a fucking baby cartoon movie, okay? Like, rephrase
But I
that,
only
come on.
watch baby cartoon movies. Like, it's
No,
a miracle.
I
watched
don't want to talk about no
Alfie
baby
and-
bitch boy cartoon movie, okay? I'm talking about real adult men movies, okay? Like,
Well, I
try
haven't
again.
seen any of those in a time period I remember any. I don't even know what happens in the Raimi films anymore. I've forgotten all
What
about
do you
them,
mean you
so.
don't sit down and watch live action things and just, like, sit there rubbing one out to the fidelity of the image? Like, what do you mean?
I don't even know what
Don't
fidelity
you
means.
love how much better Spider-Man Far From Home is visually than those silly, stupid animated movies? I especially love the literal studio lighting and the reverse shot. Why am I being so catty? I like
Right.
Far From Home, but like,
I don't want to go. Yeah, no, I don't want to go too against the John Watts Spider-Man movies because I did enjoy them when they were coming out. It's just with this brand new day, with brand new day coming out, it really just shows how much better things could be. And I'm kind of willing to look at it like, hey, those three movies, Spider-Man was really young. He was getting into the game, like the big leagues, and he was kind of messing up. He was learning a lot. And then there was Infinity War Endgame. Like, he had a lot of stuff going on. I do feel like Brand New Day is a really nice... Like, I feel like if we had just gotten Brand New Day instead of any of those home trilogy movies, it would have felt kind of weird for Peter to just be like he is now. Like, I think those three movies as set up work really, really well for this new movie.
If you make that thing not
fun.
hinge on that setup and just make him a lonely little guy and stuff like that, you could do it. But, like, the thing I would say there is, and I think this is the thing where people really miss the mark when they blame John Watts for it, is the reason the previous MCU movies were like that, or previous MCU Spider-Man movies like that, is because that's what MCU movies are like. Like, they were all shot like that, with a couple of little exceptions here and there. Like, you know, you get like a Black Panther Wakanda Forever every once in a while, but like, just look at MCU movies circa 2016, and like, they didn't really start trying to make these things look good until a couple of years ago, with the exception of like a Wakanda Forever or a Guardians of the Galaxy or something. Like, I won't even say the original Black Panther looked good. Like, it was a great movie. Ryan Coogler's an incredible director, but it's the Marvel pipeline. You're gonna get fucking SketchUp tier CGI, a lot of shot reverse shot, a lot of shots that are not lit artistically, but are instead lit for the sake of getting VFX shots in there. But okay. So Ian, your favorite Spider-Man movie up until this point was Into the Spider-Verse. Dilnor64, what was your favorite, and why was it Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Let's see. I'd have to go with Spider-Man 1 or 2, the Tobey Maguire movies, just because Spider-Man 1, I remember it's one of the few movies that I have very specific memories of walking into the theater with like my family to watch it. Like, it was like a big deal, even though my family's not really that into superheroes or anything. I remember going there and like my uncle, my dad being excited for it, and I just I really liked everything about Spider-Man 1. It felt so. I mean, I don't think I'd see that. Might have been the first superhero movie I ever saw, honestly. Especially in the theaters. So that's probably part of it. But Spider-Man 2, like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Like, it's so fucking good. Like, everything in that movie is like a masterpiece. Like, Ock is great. Sorry, Otto Octavius is great. Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst are like fantastic in that. I think, is Harry in that movie too? He is.
Harry was indeed in that movie. He was in all three.
They were all great. Like, I think like all the actors were on point. The story was just like, it hits really hard. Where it's like Norman in the first movie, maniac. Like, he's trying to do well for his company. He's trying to like do well for himself and his son. That's like, you know, something at least. But he goes off the deep end. He starts killing people. Yada yada yada. When Otto goes off the deep end, it's because of the arms. Like, he didn't listen, and there's no inhibitor thing making it so they don't take over his brain and mess with his brain waves. It's like, it's very tough to see him go so far off the rails when he really was trying to do something to help the entire world, and it just turns into like, I'm gonna do this because it's, you know, like, I'm gonna be the one. I'm gonna have the sun in my hand, in the palm of my hand.
Yeah, it was that theme of like science as a gift to be used for the benefit of mankind and stuff like that.
And with Peter like being so similar as like, you know, like a fellow scientist, someone who Otto even praises before he goes off the deep end, and Peter like wants to help him, and he does kind of pull himself out of it by the end, and then he has that tragic sacrifice moment. Like, it's just so perfect. And not to mention the Spider-Man 2 game is also really good too.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, still
helps.
the best web swing system in any of the Spider-Man games.
It's a great game. But yeah, anyway, I would say Spider-Man 2. I'd lock that in. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'd agree that Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie. Obviously love Into the Spider-Verse. I love Across the Spider-Verse. And because Across the Spider-Verse is basically just Into the Spider-Verse, but with more aura, basically. And then I love the original trilogy overall. They are some of my favorite movies, like Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I'm not a coward.
3 is fun to watch. 3 is fun.
3, I genuinely think, is that good. I genuinely think it is a fantastic movie. Granted, I will admit that I think my opinion of it is ultimately colored by the editor's cut, because that is the version I watch the most. But like, I think Spider-Man
I don't know
3
if I've
is a
seen that.
much darker, much sadder. Well, to give you a bit of reference, like the editor's cut is a little shorter than the theatrical cut. But like the biggest, most meaningful difference is how they reorder some of the scenes. They reorder some scenes, they add a couple of new ones in, and then they restore the original score composed by Christopher Young and take out like some of the replacement tracks.
Oh,
But like
okay.
one great example of where like just reordering the scenes changes everything is, obviously we remember in Spider-Man 3, Peter gets Eddie fired from the Daily Bugle, and he goes on that little strut down the street, right?
Yeah, and he goes to the church and asks God to kill
Well,
Peter
it's
Parker.
very different in the editor's cut. In the editor's cut, that scene of him doing the little strut down the street happens after he believes he's killed Harry.
That's an insane change. I like that.
Yeah, it becomes a lot darker with that context. And after he gets Eddie fired, which happens a lot earlier, he goes for a little swing through the city in the black suit, which we did not have in the theatrical cut. So
Huh.
the only thing that I think is really missing from the editor's cut is the bit where Mr. Ditkovich tries to give him phone advice, and he's like, "You simply say, 'You are a good woman, I am good man.'" They cut that, and I was like, oh man. But to be fair, it does let the darkness of it kind of sit a little longer. Which is good. But, yeah, I'd lock in for the original Raimi trilogy. I do have a lot of love for the Amazing Spider-Man 1 as well, and the Home trilogy. Like, Spider-Man
Home
No Way
trilogy's
Home
fun.
is the Sonic Frontiers of Spider-Man movies, in that it is clearly held together with duct tape, and the plot just uses its magic as an excuse to get away with anything. But, like, it's sincere. It's a movie that was made precisely to get people to feel better after COVID. And, like, pairing that down with themes of, like, cure like that. Meanwhile, you know, you bring back characters that we love and miss and stuff like that. Like, it's the perfect post-COVID movie. Which is why it's my favorite of the Home trilogy. That said, we have Brand New Day now. And how does it kind of stack up? Would you still say that Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse are locked in as best Spider-Man movie overall, you guys?
Oh yeah, definitely for me.
That's tough. I really, really like Brand New Day. I don't know if I like it more than Spider-Man 2, but Brand New Day takes everything I liked about the previous 3 of Tom's movies, and it sort of makes it like 1,000 times better. Just in general, like I think everything in that film is really fun, and it kind of goes to show, like I was saying earlier, now it feels like the Home trilogy was him building up to this extreme loneliness, and it fits so well. Like it works so well as like a natural progression. Like the fact that the director changed and a lot of the filmmaking changed for this movie, it makes you feel like obviously Peter's life is completely different now, and everything that has changed about the filmmaking and the story writing and all of that shit also feels a lot different. So I think it really works together
Yeah, like,
like
his
that to
whole
make it
world
feel
has changed.
a lot
Another thing I
different.
wanted to say
Yeah.
is, like, I think there's a lot of people that hated the Home trilogy, but like what Brand New Day did. And, you know, as I said with Superman, while I did like what came before, I'm happy we have something that, like, everybody can recognize as this character now, you know? Like, you know,
Yeah.
people that like the big dramatic swell of the Raimi trilogy and stuff got that back with Brand New Day. And, you know, I'm very happy about that. And you mentioned earlier, what if they, like, released a film like this first, as opposed to doing the Home trilogy? And I think it would have been... Maybe it would have been popular, but at the same time, the whole MO with MCU Spider-Man at first was smaller movies, because that's what people were asking for. There was a lot of reaction to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, because that movie was quite dramatic. That movie had a lot going on in it. So they were like, hey, the audience are asking kind of for smaller, lighter Spider-Man movies. Hell, it was a common thing for people to say that there was too much melodrama in the Raimi trilogy, and I'm just like, that's what Spider-Man is, isn't it? Like, Spider-Man will have melodrama and stuff. Drama is an integral part of the character. But I like the home movies as just these little genre pieces. Like, you've got the first one that's like a little John Hughes high school comedy. The second one is very similar to National Lampoon's European Vacation, but with like a spy movie angle in there too. No Way Home is very much like your weird science kind of, silly shit going on movie.
Sorry, hold on, I'll be right back.
It's all right. And I love those for what they are, and I'm kind of glad that we did do that for a bit. But I am very glad that we are back to big, dramatic Spider-Man, Big boy Spidey. Big swinging scenes, big music swells, high above the city. Like, the shots are singing again. And New York is a character again as well in this one, which I thought was such a welcome return. Has everybody forgotten they're on a podcast?
Yeah, sounds about right to me. I haven't seen those movies in forever, so I have no idea.
Fair enough. They are probably the Spider-Man movies that I do kind of rewatch the least of like the modern, like, big budgeted Spider-Man movies. And it's not because they're bad or anything. It's just the standalone nature of the Raimi trilogy and stuff just naturally makes it so much easier to just dive back in, Like, if you rewatch Homecoming, it's easy to forget the film opens with Peter blogging his experience of Civil War, and then, like, the scene after that has him and Tony in, like, a car talking, and it's like, if you just watch it as a Spider-Man movie, there's so much, it's like, oh yeah, there was a Civil War going on in Marvel at that point, wasn't there? And then you go to Far From Home, and it's like, if you imagine if someone just watched these as Spider-Man movies, had no interest in the MCU, but just watched them as Spider-Man movies, it'd be like, oh, okay, so there's an exciting incident that happened off-screen where everyone blipped out of existence for a bit, and that is just part of the world-building of this second film in the series. And we did have issues of, like, things like, Aunt May finds out Peter's Spider-Man at the very end of Homecoming, but there's no, like, consequence to that. Like, she's just kind of chill with it in Far From Home, where we pick up afterwards. Like, we missed out on just getting to see that conversation about, these two characters kind of, one is concerned for the other's safety and stuff like that. That said, I think Brand New Day actually did something that kind of made up for that, but I don't want to rush into that just yet. Dylan, are you back?
Yeah, sorry, I had to just go. I forgot I was door dashing cat food because I forgot to go pick it up after work, and they called me. My phone was on silent, so I missed them, and thankfully they just put it outside my door, so that worked out.
Dylan forgets to go to work part 2.
No, I went to work. I forgot to go to the pet store.
Dylan forgets everything. Local man forgets.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Your brain is rotting.
Anyway, sorry. Was there a question?
Well, I guess what do we overall think of, like, Brand New Day then?
I'm super happy with it. Like, I was hearing everyone say that it was great. I think you saw it 2 times before I was able to see it at all, and you were like, absolute cinema. It's beautiful. I love it. Like, 0 complaints. And I was like, okay, damn, Pup is kind of hard to please in some cases. So that sounds like I'm going to enjoy this movie a lot.
Not hard to please.
You are a movie critic. You critique movies
that
to the
doesn't
highest
mean I'm
degree.
Hard to please. I just nitpick a lot. Like, I nitpick details.
Yes, that's my definition of hard to please in that because you
Not
usually
really,
have.
Because, like,
if you don't like something,
film,
this is not a problem. I'm not calling you out on this. I'm just saying you have a very specific taste.
Hey, stop talking over me for a second, bucko. So, Far From Home is a film that is riddled with oversights and contrivances and stuff, but I still really enjoy that movie a lot. Like, and I still give it very good reviews. I think my overall opinions on the MCU Spider-Man films prove that I'm pretty easy to please. That said, I had some concerns for Brand New Day going in, because someone spoiled it for me before going in. Now, I'm someone who doesn't really mind spoilers too much. I tend to try to avoid them, but if I do get spoiled, I'm not someone who's, like, movie ruined, because by that logic, I'd never watch a movie again after I know what happens, Like, the amount of times I hear people like, oh, great, well, now I don't need to watch it then. It's like, well, surely you'd like to experience the filmmaking, the shots, the music, the acting. Surely that stuff's still worth experiencing. But, like, you know, like, at the end of the day, like, I do still like, you know, to be surprised on the first viewing and stuff, but I had it spoiled, and obviously this is a spoiler cast, it's pretty clear in the title, so Jean Grey as, like, the main antagonist and stuff, when I heard that the key overarching conflict in this movie was between Jean Grey and X-Men character Bill Metzger, I was like, what in the actual fuck happened here? Is this going to be disappointing? Like, is this an X-Men movie with Spider-Man just doinked in there, basically? And fortunately, that is not, well, at least in my opinion, that's not the case. I don't know, maybe you guys might disagree in parts, but I think the main thing is this film never lost focus of Spider-Man, and the characters from the greater Marvel universe they did include in there all serviced the themes of the movie. Like, they serviced the themes of, like, isolation, in some cases, kind of discrimination as well, and stuff like that. Like, it's a very thematically rich movie compared to a lot of the movies that have come before.
Yeah, it's also a lot about I know it's I guess it's both literal and not literal at the same time, but it's also a lot about uh suppressing parts of yourself and
Yes.
how far or like if you take it too far, how that can affect you and the people around you. And I thought that was a really interesting thing to include as well, because we have characters like Bruce Banner in this movie who has gone through a lot in the MCU. Let's say, like, it's not all good, but like he's gone from being an out of control monster to making some kind of peace with the Hulk to like fusing into Professor Hulk and
To
sort of
becoming
having his
incredibly
head on
lame,
straight.
to becoming a really
Yeah, to like
lame
having
character.
to being like completely suppressed. He does not have to worry about the Hulk anymore. To now in this movie, he is back to square one, where the Savage Hulk can get set off at any point. He can lose control, that kind of thing. Uh, and Peter has a lot to sort of do with that. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Jean sees Bruce through Peter's memories, and that's why Bruce gets roped into it. And
Well, there's a
Peter is all about like,
consistent-
I need to suppress the spider DNA, but if I suppress too much, and that's what Bruce talks about, like, hey, if you're suppressing too much, then like, it's basically like, hey, you're playing God at this point, and suppressing too much of this could be dangerous for both, your DNA, your biology, but also just you as a person. Like, if you
There's-
suppress all these bad things, who's to say what's good or bad about some of this? Which is interesting. But
There's a
obviously he doesn't want to wake
consistent-
up naked in a cocoon every day. Like, that would suck. You don't want that. But
there's a consistent through line between kind of a lot of like
Yeah.
what the characters have and what they need and stuff like that. A big theme of this one was masking, actually. Like kind
Yeah.
of, and I think it was more in relation to PTSD than anything else, but I do like that the film treated the matter of like whether or not a character needs to mask as a very case by case thing. Like Spider-Man, if anything, needs to mask a little less. He's still got a life of his own that he's neglecting right now. In the case
Yeah.
of Banner,
he's intentionally
needs-
isolating himself.
in the case of Banner, he does kind of need that mask in a way, like which is the inhibitor. He does need to inhibit that kind of part of his DNA because of its destructive
Yeah.
power and stuff like that. And also, it's allowed him to get his life on track. And we saw that Bruce Banner was actually pretty happy when he was, just teaching at the university and stuff. He was popular. He had friends. He had lots of friends, and now all his friends are gone. And he's doing the best he can
it's
to
really
carry
rough.
on. Yeah, like he ends up in a
Just-
really bad
yeah.
place in this movie. Jean Grey does him dirty.
It's really unfortunate too, and we kind of we don't sweep it under the rug per se, but like he is just mentioned in an afterthought sort of. I kind of hoped we saw. Ideally, like the one thing I wish we had seen at the end was maybe Peter working with Bruce in the facility he's in to try and help him some way, but maybe they'll do that eventually because it's not Peter's fault. Obviously, like it's obviously Jean's fault for tampering with him and forcing that inhibitor to break and all that stuff. But I feel like if I was Peter, I would feel a little bit bad that Bruce got roped into this again and just got his entire life destroyed. But it's also very interesting because I wasn't expecting it. It's very weird that I say this. I wasn't expecting it to be as much about Peter's isolation and like how he intentionally keeps himself away from people so he doesn't get hurt again, as it was. Even though that makes sense coming from Far From Home, and it did hit hard because like I do go through periods where I have like I don't really want to talk to people. I want to sit and watch things on my own. I want to hang out and just kind of do nothing. And that did kind of hit me in a certain way. Like, hey, there are people out there, even if you like. I'm not saying never be by yourself, obviously, because there are times where you need some time to yourself. But if you do that all the time, or like you have tons of time where you isolate yourself, it does suck for both you and the people who do want to see you. And it's like, obviously, it's something I work on. Like I try to not be gone for months at a time or anything like that. I take time to myself when I need it, but I try to stop in and do things with people when I can. But it was just a very interesting message between the masking thing, which I can also fully relate to in a lot of cases, and that isolation thing. It just really hit me at that point where I was like, damn, this is a like this is a movie that someone wrote, and there's way more thought behind it than like 90% of Marvel projects for the last several years.
100%.
I guess I could say like it's very cool that they actually had something to say with this movie, and they didn't compromise on the message they wanted to get out there for the sake of like comedy or action or anything. Like it, I think one of the things you said, Pup, before I saw it, you had told Ian and I can't remember if you had seen it at this point, Ian, but you had said in our chat, without posting spoilers, that if you were looking for a movie where it's pure action and Spider-Man doing cool stuff all the time, it's not that kind of movie, even though there's plenty of that. Like, there is a lot of time where the movie is slow and quiet and very introspective about a lot of things, and I really like that for this, because Peter's
the main
gone
thing
through
I
a
said was
shit
if you
ton.
want a
very
movie with Spider-Man fighting Spider-Man villains, it's not that movie. That was the kind of main thing I was getting at there.
Yeah, something like that or whatever.
But in terms of like Spidey just using his powers and stuff, this movie has arguably the most of it. It's just not always necessarily in a big action beat, and that's something I'm fine with. Like,
Yeah.
having a character study for Spider-Man while he's in costume for like 90% of it, spinning webs and stuff like that, brilliant. Like, I'm happy with that. Like, it's funny. Yeah. A little story about Spider-Man 1. Obviously, in the UK, it released as a 12. This was before the 12A rating was a thing. Spider-Man was largely the reason why the 12A rating was introduced. But, like, we ended up watching it on some VHS. And I remember as a kid being kind of bored by it, actually, because I was like, when is he going to become Spider-Man? There's that whole, like, 45 minutes you gotta wait before he puts on, like, the main Spider-Man suit and stuff. And I was just like, when is he gonna become Spider-Man, Dad? When is he gonna become Spider-Man? And then afterwards, I was like, there wasn't enough Spider-Man, but it was quite cool when Spider-Man was in it, because that was all I wanted to see. This is kind of the movie that kid me would have wanted, even if it is just, like, a dour, sad movie compared to, like, what Spider-Man 1 is.
It's also very interesting, too, that there is a lot of footage of him in the suit this time, and I both think that's like, it's cool that they did that because it's a Spider-Man movie, so it's like, yeah, we're following Spider-Man, but it's also really interesting because a lot of it is about masking and isolation and stuff, and you can tell the ratio where he is Peter Parker compared to where he is Spider-Man is extremely off balance, and that kind of plays to the whole idea behind the film in the first place, that he is being Spider-Man and Peter Parker is nowhere right now. Like, he is basically, he does not want to be Peter Parker because being Peter Parker is fucking terrible for him at this point. And,
I mean, a big part of like
I just like that too in concept.
The big part of like the movie's theming as well is not just like Spider-Man deliberately isolating him off from others, so much as he's basically gotten into the habit of it, and like he needs to relearn how to connect with people, basically. And you know what? I think that was a really nice theme to go with here, and a really nice use of the whole everybody forgets who Peter Parker is thing. Because, connecting with other people is fucking daunting in the real world. Like, especially these days, where we're so used to, like, social media, when any little social faux pas you do could be recorded and stuck in someone's cringe compilation, where people do not let things go and stuff like that. And you gotta think, this guy's Spider-Man. 4 years ago, he was the most famous, most judged person on the planet because of, his identity being revealed and everything. Like, it's kind of understandable that, yes, he would probably become a bit of a hermit at that point. And I think, it's something that a lot of people have dealt with. The movie kind of chalks a lot of it up to PTSD, but a lot of people have had some kind of inciting incident in their life, or some kind of condition that has made it difficult to connect with others. And, like, for me, that's, been kind of discovered through, like, ADHD and stuff like that. ADHD, kind of autism, stuff like that. And, shortly before watching this movie, I had the realization that I basically spent my entire life masking for as long as I can remember. So this film did naturally speak to me quite a bit. And I did like the kind of message, and Tom Holland's kind of said, he went out of his way to ensure that the message was, if you are suffering, you don't have to do it alone. You shouldn't try and do it alone. You should always reach out to others when you have the chance and stuff like that. And I think that's a lovely message that I think a lot of people really do need these days.
Yeah.
It seems like he really went out of his way to... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll let you go in just a second. Sorry, the masking thing, too, I know you said doing it your whole life. Masking also is not... It is not inherently a bad thing, which is a good thing. That it's not... Like, that's why, like, the stuff about the Hulk and, like, Bruce and even Frank Castle stuff, sometimes masking can be bad. If you're masking forever, all the time, even around friends, even around whoever, that's unfortunate. Like, it shouldn't have to be that way. Some people feel that they have to do that all the time.
It's a safe
Sometimes
harbor.
it's a thing that, you do to protect yourself, and sometimes, like, there are different masks you wear depending on where you're at, and that's okay. Like, you definitely want to be different when you're at work than you are when you're hanging out with your friends, because when you're hanging out with your friends, you're obviously going to be talking a lot more freely. You're not going to be as worried about certain things. If you do that at work, it could get you in trouble. If you do that in certain situations, like at school, at work, out in public, whatever, you might say, like, if you swear too much, too loud, whatever, people might think that you're, terrible. You don't want to be doing that. Masking itself, like, that's why I like what this movie has to say a lot, that masking itself is not inherently bad. It's just, you need to kind of be careful about certain things, because there are times when you don't need to do it. Like, if you are constantly on the defensive, then you're gonna feel terrible, and that's why Peter is sort of in this situation. Yeah, but like Bruce's thing, he's masking important things. Like, he has to mask literally, or else he turns into a giant rage monster. Like, it's kind of like almost like a little, I don't know, metaphor, I guess.
Some
for like
people cannot
certain things,
afford
like a
to
metaphor
mask.
for certain, like certain emotional disorders, I would say. Like,
Yeah,
obviously the Hulk
there
is
are
always,
emotional
like,
disorders. There are types of neurodivergence and stuff
Yeah.
like that, where masking
it is
can
not inherently a
become kinda
bad thing.
necessary.
You just need to be careful. Yeah. Which is what the
Ian,
movie's about, basically. Yeah.
Ian, what did you want to say?
Sorry, Ian. Yeah.
I forgot. Continue.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
I don't know
so
what I was going
mad.
to say other than that. I just
So
wanted to
fucking
mention the
mad.
masking thing, because I think if people aren't careful, it is difficult to worry about that. Like if you are constantly doing it. And I've been there. Like, I've kind of felt in some situations like, oh, I just have to mask around my family or my friends or around everyone, because if I'm not, like, I kind of just I feel like I don't know, like a lump, like just like a big nothing kind of sitting
Masking
around
can
doing whatever.
also be completely masking can be completely involuntary as well. There's a lot of occasions where you don't realize you're doing it, and I think, like, with Peter in this
Yeah.
movie, he did not go out of his way to not be Peter Parker ever again. But he realized that when he's Spider-Man, that's where people are, basically. If he's Spider-Man, he can be around people. If he's Peter Parker, he can't, basically. And
Yeah.
another thing I just wanted to mention in, like, kind of the works for some, not for others. In the case of, like, Punisher, for one example. Actually, Terry brings up a great point here, saying masking has an energy cost. Absolutely right. At the same
does,
time,
yeah.
being unmasked all the time can also have a huge energy cost. And you look at someone like Frank, for example. Frank is a fucking dick. He left this podcast, but then there's also Frank in the movie, the Punisher. And
Frank
he has that little
Castle, yeah.
moment with the Spider-Man mask on. And for the very first time, like, since, like, his family died, he's got, like, a whole crowd of people that love him. And he's really soaking that moment up. And yes, it is a scene that is kind of played for laughs in a lot of ways. But it's also an incredibly emotionally resonant scene of the Punisher just having a therapeutic moment for the first time since, like, everything that's gone down with him.
Ever. And it's also, I'd like to mention about that scene specifically, too, is that they go out of their way to show he's doing the motions, he's putting on, like, the little show, like, waving to people, he's, doing whatever. And then they go back into the room, and he's even getting into it, like, making noises in the room, like yeah,
You're like,
yeah. He's doing like a little thing, and it's like they didn't have to show that, and he didn't have to do that, but it is kind of showing like he is completely letting go for the probably the first time in a very very long time because he's doing something silly. He's doing something almost Spider-Man esque, and I know he's doing it for Peter to
well,
like
he's
help
being
him,
Spider-Man
but like
in that
again,
moment.
he doesn't have to. He didn't have to be making any of those sounds. He really could have just stood there and waved a couple times. But he's soaking it in. He's making sure the crowd knows that they feel like that he appreciates them. And I loved that. Honestly, it was a very cute little scene. And like Peter in the crowd with the little kid that does like the little
The web
Spider-Man
flip.
like web motion. I was like, I'm gonna die. This is so
I
precious.
won't
Like
lie,
he's
that
just around
whole-
a million people that love him and are happy he's okay. And it's like, oh shit, dude.
That whole
it's so
ending,
nice.
the whole third act of this movie is some of my favorite stuff in like these superhero movies. Like, just where like that crowd are all gathered around, and you've got like the news reporter being like, Spider-Man has been a hero to the city. Now he's with New York's finest, and they're going to return the favor. And like, I know that some people have said like, with him being operated on with his mask off, does that not mean the doctors know who he is? And I like to refer back to the train scene from Spider-Man 2, where it's like that we won't tell anybody kind of deal. I think that
Yeah.
absolutely applies here, but it kind of goes without saying because we've kind of already done that now. In a lot of ways, this movie is an inverse of Spider-Man 2 as well. There's so many similarities here. One of them being Spider-Man's powers are changing due to him neglecting one of his alter egos, one of his lives, basically. In the case of Spider-Man 2, he gives up being Spider-Man because he's losing his powers. In this one, he throws himself into being Spider-Man, which causes his powers to upgrade and evolve and stuff like that. But then also, another little parallel is that Spider-Man 2 had that whole scene in the car with Uncle Ben, and it's in that like hazy white world and stuff, and it's all a vision. This movie does a similar thing with Aunt May in the old apartment. And I thought that was a really nice detail. I thought that was such a great bit of storytelling that you don't usually see it go that far with the MCU,
It's also really nice that scene, we see it like a few times very briefly when Jean's trying to really get into Peter's head, and the fact that what Aunt May says to Peter, the fact that that can apply to anyone really, and how it actually does apply very well to Jean, and she's able to sort of get some of that catharsis and just like some of that I don't know, TLC, I guess I could just say some TLC.
She hears what
in
she
that
needs
moment.
to hear. She's never...
Yeah, like she hears exactly what she needs to hear, and it applies to more than just her and more than just Peter. And I think like that's a really beautiful thing, like writing something like that, because they very clearly could have written in a bunch of very specific Peter Parker-esque things in that scene for Peter. But like Aunt May is just talking about life, and it applies to so many people. I really like how that works.
It also reinforces like the influence of Spider-Man's parental figures. It had been a bit of a bone of contention among the early MCU Spider-Man films that like Uncle Ben, for example, isn't really mentioned in those movies. And I kind of largely kind of defended that as like, we kind of really trod the whole origin story ground before. And that like just diving headfirst into brand new stories was kind of the right idea. And I will say this as well, this movie has made me more than willing to roll with Aunt May as kind of the Uncle Ben equivalent for MCU Spider-Man. And I think Marissa Tomei is great here as well. Like, the unfortunate thing I found, especially for like Homecoming and Far From Home, was I thought we had kind of the worst version of Aunt May. In that it was more just kind of a gag of, oh, Peter's aunt is hot, was basically the gag in those two movies. Whereas, like, you come to No Way Home, she obviously fucking dies and shit, and she gets a bit more to do philosophically. And I'm so glad that this movie has, like, carried so much of that over, at her being a bit more wise. And I mentioned how, like, Far From Home completely glossed over the whole Aunt May finds out and all the concerns that come with it. But then in this one, you get that flashback of the two at the apartment, and she's like, this whole superhero thing can be really scary. And I was like, oh my god, we're getting that conversation. I thought we'd never actually get to see this, but we did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, kind of retroactively, this movie kind of like punches up a lot of those older movies by giving it a feeling of like a Peter who did have, not the easiest life, but it, had it a lot easier than what we expect from Peter Parker. and then kind of seeing that all get taken away from him piece by piece. I don't know. It really does, like, I think, elevate the previous stuff and help you appreciate the more lighthearted nature of it, and still having still keeping those Spider-Man ideas intact. But then, it feels like it all kind of comes together, which is really neat.
Like the days of innocence before everything went wrong. And I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to as well. A lot of people probably do think back to, like, some of their childhood years and stuff and think, the days of innocence before everything went fucking wrong. Like, every YouTuber
Indeed.
thinks that. Every YouTuber. But, like, yeah, like with all that we're talking about here, we haven't really talked about, like, the whole, the big sort of NYC mystery here. There's just so much to talk about in regard to, like, how they handle the theme of loneliness, how they handle the themes of, like, masking and stuff like that. And I don't know if it was deliberate, but, like, I think it speaks a lot to neurodivergence. And I feel like the superhero characters here have kind of become almost kind of vessels for neurodivergence, which is lovely, because you will not get better representation than Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Everybody wants to be Spider-Man.
That's why Into the Spider-Verse is the best one.
It is easily one of the best comic book movies ever made. I was joking about the whole animation thing. As you know, I love animation.
Indeed.
Nah, animation's stupid for babies. What else? Like, what else could we go into? Because there's a lot to, like, unpack. It's just kind of figuring out, like, the order to kind of do this. We have been kind of loosey-goosey.
We're kind of jumping all over the place. Anyway, I really like that before the movie came out, a lot of people, I don't know if it was just Tom Holland or I don't remember who else was saying it, but there was a statement put out that someone said someone in this movie will remember Peter. And I was like, oh, it's probably gonna be the Hulk, because in the comics, after Peter's identity is wiped, the Hulk still remembers Peter specifically. He knows who Spider-Man is because the Hulk is, I don't know, he works in mysterious ways, I suppose. And I was like, okay, it's probably gonna be the Hulk. But it turns out to be Ned, I think, because at the very end there, they do the little handshake, and he has, like, that. It's kind of up in the air, because I've seen some people say, oh, maybe he says Peter because before he leaves Ned and MJ from the apartment scene, MJ calls him Peter, and Ned goes, oh, Spider-Man's name is Peter? And some people are like, oh, maybe he's recognizing him as Spider-Man, and he's like, oh yeah, Peter from, we were just hanging out before. And then some people say maybe the handshake thing was a spell that they created unintentionally in No Way Home, because when they do their little handshake thing, Ned's ring sparks, like, it's a little magical spark, like Doctor Strange.
God, we need to ban magic in Spider-Man movies.
I don't mind if it's that's still cute. I still like the idea of Ned just, like, because that muscle memory is still there, and he must have been like, hey, why is this Spider-Man guy always around us? Why has he saved us specifically so many times? Why this? Why that? Why this? I really like the idea of Ned just kind of putting it together, because he is a smart guy, and he probably has been agonizing over it, sort of like MJ was. Like, who is this guy? Why are we so connected to him?
We know he has.
Yeah, like, he's got the board and everything.
Yeah, he's got the board. He's been trying to figure out who it is. Now, yeah, I've seen.
It's so nice. It's like a very sweet little moment right at the end that made me feel really good. That, like, oh, okay, so they, I was like, is it gonna be MJ? Like, are they gonna kiss that one? Like, when the kiss happened, and they do, like, the Peter. I do remember. I was like, okay, that's really sweet, but it's a little contrived. And then thank God it was not real, because I was like, that would suck if that was the thing that did it. I don't know. I like a lot of how the movie handled the amnesia, the collective amnesia, because I was not thinking about all of the times where the Avengers and all of his classmates would have been surrounded by Spider-Man and been like, hey, why the hell was Spider-Man, like, at our school so much? Like, did we know this guy? Like, why is this? And then there's, like, a big hole in their memories where, like, I'm sure Ned remembers, like, do you think, like, he would probably remember being at the apartment with Peter and May, but Peter's just not in that memory anymore. So he's probably like, why the hell was I at this apartment building a Lego Death Star with this random old woman? Not old woman, sorry, I didn't mean that.
I was about to say, like, I was going to just say, good for you,
She's not
Ned.
old.
Good for you.
I was going to say... No, but, like, he's like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that, why would I be a guy in the chair for Spider-Man? Who is Spider-Man? And then like that, it just clicks at the end, and it's just, I really like that. I like how it was handled, and I like that it was not hastily undone by anything. Like there was not like a mass remembering of Peter by the people he cares about. I actually, you know what? One thing I kind of miss out on is I kind of miss Happy Hogan a little bit. I kind of miss that, like that whole like dynamic they had for a bit, where like even at the end of No Way Home, they're both at May's gravestone, and I was like, damn, I wish he had just made some kind of appearance at some point, because he still must remember Spider-Man, and he must remember caring about Spider-Man.
He
just
does
not
remember
Peter.
Spider-Man. He says at the end
Yeah.
of No Way Home that he met Aunt May through Spider-Man, which is really funny. The idea that like, hey, I'm Spider-Man. This is May Parker.
Yeah, this is May Parker. I don't know, no relation.
Yeah, she's just here. Like, yeah, no. Like, was there never a point where he's like, I guess he was Spider-Man's aunt? I don't know. But like,
I don't think they ever had a specific
I
thing.
think it's the
I
kind
do
of
miss
thing-
that specifically, but
it's
other
the
than
kind
that,
of
I
thing
like how it
where
was
No
handled.
Way Home used very much its magic as the excuse for everything. And this movie doesn't actually mention the real, like, logistic of it, Like, it doesn't ever mention, oh, there was a magic spell. He said, I had to do something that, broke my heart, basically. And I think they did that just to give the story more credibility. It's hard to kind of have a story that tackles things like loneliness in such a grounded and genuinely serious way, but be like, yeah, the catalyst for that was a wizard, Like, it's very difficult to kind of carry that off. And I think they did it very tastefully. They kind of just treated
Well,
it as,
means
okay.
that anyone who... Yeah, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was gonna say, it just means that anyone who didn't watch those movies or whatever can also just easily jump in.
Yeah.
I'd say kind of.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I wouldn't say easily. I'd say you can. Like, you can see that this is the problem Peter's facing. He once had these friends, and now all his friends are gone, and he's doing the best he can to carry on. Like,
well, and what I like about it too is that the kind of the idea of the happy ending he gets in terms of reaching out to Ned is that the wish did not have to be this big thing for his life if he did just follow what they said, which is, hey, when this is all over, come find us and talk to us and like try to, help us. And he decided, actually, I'm going to override what they wanted and I'm going to stay away from them. So he could have had all this back and more sooner if he hadn't made that decision to hoist everything upon himself in the first place. So I kind of like that, as well as kind of like the message of like, yeah, like everyone forgot, but he could have made these new friendships, these new relationships with these people if he had actually respected their wishes. So,
well, he genuinely believed that they were better off without him. He believed that they were happier without him. And I think that also speaks to, like, because a lot of people, like, it sounds really bad, but, like, hear me out here. I'm not trying to say this in, like, an insensitive way. For a lot of people, loneliness can be self-inflicted. In that, like, maybe you're of the belief that you're not good enough to be around others and stuff like that. And that's a horrible belief to live with. Still, the person who is the big victim of that is the person that's dealing with that. And I thought that was quite nice that it was like, yes, this is something where he does find out that he could have done this earlier. But ultimately, he was trying to act for them. Like, he saw they were happy without him. They were, going on to new things. And he saw how him being Spider-Man in Far From Home fucked their whole MIT thing,
Yeah. He also fixed it. So
I
do think it's the thing about not reaching out to them because he thought they were better off does get challenged as well, because MJ reads the letter he wrote and he's like, she's like, so you made this decision for me. Like, you didn't even give my wishes a chance. And
yeah, that's why it doesn't matter, because they told him to do it.
Yeah. But his
I
own
think
basis was still
he cared
valid.
so much, but he cared. I think it's actually another very relatable thing. I've been told this a lot, that I should not create stories in my head as to what I think other people react to something I've done or anything. I shouldn't like create a fiction in my brain for someone else just to like torture myself, basically. And that's what Peter has done in this movie. He's gone, okay, if I interact with them again, it's going to be bad for them, because literally all I've done is I've made them, like this is such a huge thing that's happened. Like, they've had memories erased. I've put them in danger multiple times. They're better off without me. They don't need me. And then he agonizes over it for years. And literally, as soon as he lets his guard down, he lets that go, he's hanging out with Ned and MJ in that apartment like nothing ever happened. Like he's
Yeah.
quoting with Ned back and forth, and it's really
I love
the
that
thing that he
scene.
invented for himself. It is such a very real thing that happens, especially to me. Like it literally, I will overthink everything, and if anything, like if I do something wrong, if anything bad happens, even if someone doesn't look happy, like if I'm at work or something, let's say if someone looks upset, I'm like, oh fuck, what did I do? And I'm like, probably nothing. They just don't want to be at work. Like I don't need. It's not necessarily me. I didn't do anything, so I don't need to kind of imagine that I did something. But like that's kind of what Peter was doing, and I think when
human
MJ
thing.
reacts to it so negatively, it is very, very interesting. I didn't think they were gonna go there, and it's a very cool scene for sure.
It's a very human thing that they handle in a very human way, and I'm not used to having this kind of humanity from an MCU movie.
Hmm.
But don't worry, we'll be back to your regularly scheduled slop in no time with Doomsday.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that movie to be about nothing. But yeah, like, I also will say, as far as like guest star characters go, I'm still hoping that we will one day get a solo Spider-Man movie again. But I will say I'm not against Punisher showing up, because his chemistry with Spidey and their dynamic was just so enjoyable to watch. But it didn't come at the expense of depth. Like, you had the humor in there, but they also had like the deepest kind of connection out of like Spider-Man and his team-up pals.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's not like another case where it's like, oh, here comes the regularly scheduled Spider-Man father figure character to step in and do a lot of shit and make stuff work. It's like Frank Castle is almost exclusively an obstacle for like most of this movie until he isn't, and he does not turn into a Tony Stark. He doesn't turn into a Doctor Strange. Is not really a father figure to Peter. I mean, like I guess you could read it in some ways because he goes to him with a problem and he
He's a
helps him,
friend.
and there's like conflict. He's a friend figure. He's definitely a friend more than like a father figure like Tony Stark or Happy. But
I wouldn't say
the fact
Tony was
that
a father figure.
You wouldn't say Tony Stark was a father figure to Peter?
Not at all. He drafted him into a war, gave him a bunch of tech, ghosted him for ages, while Peter was like...
I think Peter would say otherwise. I think Peter was like, that's my dad.
I don't think he was.
Pretty much, if you asked him.
If you look at him in Homecoming, he's like, Tony sucks. Tony really sucks. And then the only time... Like, obviously, he likes working with him as an Avenger and stuff.
He's fighting with him like a parent and child, though. They have a very parent-child dynamic. Like, hey, the adults are talking, like that kind of thing, or like hey, if you even cared, you'd be here. Like, that's a really, like...
I think Tony...
That's like talking to your parent on the phone. You're
No,
like,
but
you're never
I think
home.
Tony
Why are you even...
views...
You don't care.
I think Tony views him as kind of a son kind of figure, in a way. But I don't think Spider-Man sees him as a dad. I think Spider-Man sees him more as like a fucking coach that just doesn't believe in him.
I mean, not literally. Like, I don't think... I mean, okay, I'm gonna be real. I think if Tony was like, Peter, I want to adopt you, I think he'd be like, say no more. I think he'd be like, yes, absolutely. But like, I don't think it's like specifically, literally like, hey, that's my dad. I was kind of joking. Like, but the dynamic to me is very parent-child coded from both sides. Like, he has things like he defies Tony's orders like a son would, like, or a child would as they're growing up. He learns why that's a problem. He learns from these mistakes and these things he's being taught by Tony.
He doesn't learn why that's...
I think he cares about him as a child.
He does
for
not
sure.
learn to listen to Tony. At the end of Homecoming, he's proven right.
Of course he... What do you mean?
At the end of Homecoming, he's
he
literally
listens to
proven
Tony
right.
as fuck, yeah.
No, in Homecoming, the whole thing is Tony's like, leave the Vulture alone, we got people who deal with that stuff. And he's like, well, I can't just leave him alone. Your guys aren't doing anything. And then he's like, right, look, I'm just going to need to take that suit from you and shit. And he's like, all right,
I mean, he learns...
put on my fucking hoodie suit.
He learns about the...
Tony is low-key molding the whole time. He's like, oh, wow, well, I guess you screwed the pooch, but at least you raised the hybrid puppies and all that. And he's like, well, anyways, you want to be an Avenger? Here's a fucking Iron Spider. And Tom's just like, fuck off. And then goes home.
You don't think that he learned from Tony at all? Like, he learned from Tony's mistakes. Remember Tony said something like, I wanted you to be better than whatever I was talking about. Remember it was that some kind of thing like that?
He said something that struck a chord with him, but largely Homecoming is spent with Tom Why do I keep calling him Tom?
He-
With Peter rejecting
Tom.
what Tony Stark is trying to do for him. Like, Tony's like...
He's not
built in-
rejecting Tony, though. He's rejecting the idea, like, the
He
going above
literally
his pay
rejects
grade.
Tony at the
recovering
end
that.
of the movie. That is literally
Hey!
the climax of the film.
And then he's sad as fuck. He misses his dad in, like, the entirety of the next 2 movies. It's
He
all about how
misses
sad he
his
is.
baseball coach that didn't truly believe in him. It's
Who
a
cares about my
coach
baseball
dynamic.
coach? That's his dad, dude.
It's
Listen,
not his dad.
he learns so much from Tony. He is
What did
literally
he learn from Tony?
that is
What
a
did he learn from
parent-child
Tony?
dynamic.
What did he
He
actually
learns to
learn
not
from Tony?
punch up above his pay grade, and when he does, he
He
makes sure
always
to
does.
do it right.
In one film later.
I'm not done yet. Listen, he learns from Tony. Tony has this whole thing about, like, I wanted you to be better than me. Peter wants to punch above his pay grade. He does it, and he keeps fucking up. So he learns from Tony that if he's going to do that, he has to be more careful about it. He has to make sure he's not putting himself and a million other people in danger, like with the boat thing. Like, he jumps into that without thinking. He has to learn from Tony that he needs to be paying better attention. He needs to consider every single variable, or else people are going to get hurt. And he's not doing that because he's going, oh, I'm already, Tony's my dad. I'm an Avenger. I can just kind of jump in here and do this, and I don't have to worry because it's going to work out. And Tony has to keep bailing him out like a father would do for a son. Let's say this. And then, once he's not there to do that anymore, he finally realizes, and this is also like a leaving the nest moment, like a very difficult leaving the nest moment, where he's like, I'm on my own. I still want to do the right thing. And he does it, but he does it his way. So you're right. He does defy Tony. He doesn't do exactly what he wants. But he did learn a lot from all of that. Like, if that hadn't happened the way it did, then I think he very well could have jumped into the vulture thing again and gotten himself killed if he hadn't been thinking about any of that.
I think the main thing is that he extrapolates his own lesson from it, though, rather than doing what Tony wants him to do.
He did learn his own lessons, but I think Tony is a huge part of it. That's why people were so upset about that dynamic, because they were like, what is he, Spider-Man's caretaker? Like, he's in charge of everything? It's like,
But
no,
the thing
he's
is, I've
learning
always
from this
pushed back
guy.
against the notion that Tony Stark was an Uncle Ben figure, because at the end of the day, Tony Stark had some things that he wanted Spider-Man to be. And in Homecoming, he's like, okay, yeah, so he does, take on a few things. But ultimately, the lessons that he learns from that are self-extrapolated. Like, Tony does not say, oh, you need to not be reliant on the suit so that your instincts will be better. He kind of does say that, actually. But, like, he's not just about that.
If you had nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it.
But the main thing was also, like, stop stepping in, like, in places where you're not supposed to step in. There are people that do this. And Spider-Man rejects that completely, and then takes it upon himself, uses his own tech, uses his own tools to, get into the fucking fight with the Vulture.
I think it's worth mentioning, too, about that Tony is being very, like, he says that whole thing, like, hey, if someone else had died here today, that's on me. If you had died, like, he kind of doesn't even have words for it. Like, he can't really say. Like, he's like, that's on me or whatever. Or he said, if someone died here, it was on you. If you died, that's on me. There's that whole thing where it's kind of tough. Because, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not entirely wrong. They're not, like, 100% father-son dynamic. But, like, by the end of Endgame, they absolutely have at least that kind of bond. Like, I mean, Peter's like front and center at the funeral too. Like, he's like with the family. Like,
I feel like we're
it's kind of
stuck
like
in the weeds over semantics. I think, like, I think
it's not semantic.
ultimately-
I do think I'm correct here. I think this is a clear father-son dynamic that is going on, and he does learn a lot from Tony. But he learns. It's not traditionally like, hey, do this and you learn from what I say. Obviously, he takes what Tony has to say about a lot of this stuff, and then he learns his own lesson. But that's like a part of, growing into your own person. That's why he rejects Tony at the end. It's not because, like, oh, this is what you want to hear. He agrees by the end, like, okay, yeah, you're right. I should step back a little bit. I have to be more careful about this stuff. So he is heeding the words of a parental figure almost to sort of do what he needs to do and do what still do what he wants to do. I think it's where am I going with this? I don't know. I'm not gonna let that go. They have a very father-son coded relationship, and it's definitely Tony is more on that side, obviously, because he has the picture of Peter after he dies. Peter dies in his arms, terrified, like a scared kid, and that's like he's in the arms of someone he trusts and cares about, and he's like, "What do I do? I don't want to go. What do I do?" It is there. It is not like 100% traditional father-son thing. He's not literally his dad. I don't think he would do that to his uncle, because his uncle is absolutely his father figure. Of course, we just didn't see that.
See, I would
I
say,
think there's a lot
like,
there.
I would say there's definitely a search for guidance going on, and there's also a search for connection. Clearly, like, there's definitely, like, he wants a kind of father figure, hence why he tries to hug Tony at the start of Homecoming. But I don't think he literally is like, oh yeah, this is the new Uncle Ben. I don't think he's thinking that.
No, he's not trying to replace him. Not absolutely not. But like I think he does see him as like, this is my male role model figure. This is like a father figure in my life right now. As much as Tony doesn't want that at first, but then Tony falls into it. He falls into the trap. He really wants to be that, and then he becomes a father. And it's like someone in sorry, who in chat said it? Winter Rain said Peter was like the test runs that Tony could be a good dad for Morgan Stark. You do see a lot of, I think, how he treated Peter in the way he talks to his daughter. Obviously different because it's, a young girl compared to this.
I mean, would you also say
human.
that in Spider-Verse that Peter B. Parker is a father figure towards Miles? Because he does have a similar kind of thing bit. In that, like,
he's definitely it's more mentor figure to him. Like, I don't think Miles treats it as much like that, but I think Peter B ends up treating it a lot more like a father figure type thing by the end of it.
Peter B's whole thing, like, at the end of Into the Spider-Verse, he's like, oh, maybe I do want kids. And then he says to him, I think, in a cross, is like, I would not have necessarily had Mayday Parker were it not for you.
So yeah, I think in that case, it's a lot more one-sided for Peter, because Peter does realize by the end of it that he has been acting more like this kid needs my help, and then he goes from I'm not, I don't care about this to, oh, this kid actually is changing me a bit. Like he made him change by the end of it. He has a kid. I'm willing to bet that if he had never seen Miles again, he probably would have named like one of his sons or something after Miles or something. I don't know, but like I think not as much on Miles' part. I think Miles was looking for a mentor figure because he already has a dad, but also he doesn't get along perfectly with his father anyway in that first movie.
Yeah. I also agree with what Terry's saying in the chat.
Half. Yeah.
Thanks to Terry for not treating this conversation like a boxing match, by the way. But like, yeah, saying it's a subconscious thing. Peter won't be aware he's doing it. Like, you could say the same for, like, Amazing Spider-Man 1 as well, in that, like, you've got Captain Stacy. But I don't really think he necessarily sees him as a father figure so much as he's kind of, like, still ultimately longing for a similar kind of connection to a father figure.
That's a figure of authority.
It's something that's very much built, if anything, more into Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man than Tom's. In that, like, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, the very first scene we see of him is his dad abandoning him. And then, like, from there, we see how that kind of has impacted him, basically. And, like, we see that, he has that argument with Uncle Ben where he's like, if my father believed in these moral philosophies, why the fuck is he not actually here then? Like... And I think, with Andrew Garfield, yeah, it does feel more like he needs a father figure, whereas I guess it's not wrong to interpret it as more of a father-son thing, but I also just view it personally more as like a coach.
I think also Terry said after that as well, Miles' complex father figure relationship is with his uncle. I think that's also pretty true. I think he is like in need of, he's looking for something. He needs a mentor for Spider-Man stuff, but then on his own, Aaron is doing a lot of the stuff that he's looking for, or is looking for his dad to do, but his dad is very hard on him for a lot of reasons, because he's a genius, and he wants him to do better, obviously, but Aaron is the one who's willing to go, oh, you're a person, and we kind of do that. You should be a person before you're like a genius or like a scholar or whatever. And he treats him,
and he indulges his kind of artistry as well.
Of course.
Like, Miles is into kind of like the art side of things.
Yeah, he lets him be more of himself, whereas his dad is like, I'm looking out for your future. I'm looking at, like, I've been through all this before. I know you're going down a weird path. We don't want you to do that. here, let me help you, let me push you down the right path, basically, and that's not what Miles is looking for. And that's
It's
why
a
I think
mistake.
Peter B and both Aaron are kind of a big influence on him at that point. But he
It's a
realizes
mistake
that his
that a lot of
dad is
parents
only
and
trying to
teachers
do what's
make as
best
well.
for him, obviously.
I mean, that
Uh,
was another thing as well, is like, yeah, like you mentioned, like the expectations and like how I think the last thing that Miles graffitis on the wall was the no expectations thing where Uncle Aaron was. And I always really love that theme because it is a problem with parenting and even teachers as well, in that the better a student is or the better their child is, the harder they're going to push them and the harder they're going to alienate them in the process and stuff. When it is just like, if you've got this prodigy kid, why can't you just trust them to make these decisions if they're so smart? If they have all these smarts that just cannot go to waste, then like you could trust them, not have all these expectations and stuff like that. And I thought that was a really cool theme for those movies. And I think getting back to kind of Brand New Day, it is kind of tapping back into these much more human themes that I think really elevates this. Like when I look at the best Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man 2, the Spider-Verse films, and I would say that Brand New Day is one of the best Spider-Man films. They have human themes, like things that people can relate to.
yeah, no, absolutely. Like that's why so many more Marvel things lately have been boring or not worth really investing in, because it's like, oh, it's all action, it's all silly. Like Thor: Love and Thunder, for example. There is nothing in that movie that is trying to say anything. It is literally a movie where there is a joke every single line, and like even when they're talking about something as serious as Jane's illness, it feels like I was waiting for them to say something funny, and like, that shouldn't happen. I shouldn't be expecting that in
Yeah, like
something in a scene
Thor
that's so serious.
Love
But the
and
rest of the
Thunder
movie is like
does.
it's conditioned you to be like, hey, everything's a joke, everything's silly and funny, and there's a guy shitting his pants over there or whatever. But like that's why like I have a problem with so many Marvel things. Or like it's like there's no substance to it. It is just the silly funny or the action scene, and then that's it. The movie ends, you move on to the next one. Not
I
as
mean,
fun as something like Brand New Day that has a lot to chew on.
Love and Thunder does have some heavy subject matter here and there, but again, it's the way that story's told. You know, like storytelling is just as important as the story. And I think like Thor Love and Thunder completely fucks it, while Spider-Man Brand New Day enriches it with incredible filmmaking and great storytelling and stuff like that.
It does. Absolutely. It makes it more worth paying attention to. Because I know like people who like Marvel, like they Marvel action, Marvel heroes, whatever, they're gonna like the action scenes and they're really good. So like I'm totally on board with that. When a Marvel action scene's awesome, it's awesome. Like they really know how to do cool action. But slowing down like this movie does and having so many scenes that are very talky and like you really pay attention to what they're saying or how they're looking at each other, or how they're gesturing, their body language and all that. There's so much in Brand New Day to look into. It's very very different from a lot of it's especially different from the Home trilogy, which is not all funny jokey action stuff, but it does have plenty of good emotional beats.
Yeah.
It's even different from those. Like it feels so much more real and grounded. Because I think it's just the writers and the director knew how to make something with more substance to it. I think it's just a really fresh, really good breath of fresh air, I would say, compared to a lot of other stuff. Hold on, I'll be
Ian,
right back. Also, I just need to check something.
I agree. I like it a lot.
you not like have anything to say?
No, I'm basically dead. So,
Oh jeez.
but I appreciate that you guys are saying everything. So, thank you.
Well, I guess I gotta wait for Dylan to get back then.
I liked yeah. Good movie.
I genuinely like if he's the only one talking and he's not here, I have to wait for him.
Give me a topic.
Spider-Man Brand New Day.
I liked the movie. It was pretty good. What else? I mean, you guys have hit all the themes that I even care about. So, I don't know.
any particular scenes stand out to you?
I mean, obviously the ending, but you guys talked about that.
You could talk about it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I just like any. I guess I could talk about any negatives I have because I have like very minor ones. They don't really matter.
Oh yeah,
too
I
much.
did want to talk negatives as well. All right, why don't you give me your negatives?
Yeah, nothing crazy, but the big thing that stood out to me is that there's a few. And anytime you have Spider-Man or like a character who's like really, really, a good boy, I like to see them saving civilians and treating that very seriously. And there's a few times in this movie where, like in the tank scene, where like there's like cars getting flown around, and I'm like, Spider-Man, shoot a web at the car so that it sticks to a wall, or like shoot one of your grenades so that they don't die instantly. So there's a few times like that where I'm like, and if he can't save them, I want him to like react to it. And there's a few times in the movie where that doesn't happen. And it's a little like, I'm just like, oh, well, that sucks. I'll be good faith because whenever he does interact with, people, like that one guard who's like, no, Spider-Man, like I would never hurt you. And he's like, no, it's cool, man. Like, I believe you. Like, I really like that. But then I also wish there had been like a scene where he like maybe interacts with that old lady or says like, hey, like she obviously didn't know anything, so make sure you let her go when you're done. Just like ways in which like Spider-Man is consistently interacting with normal people and having their best interest at heart. And there's just a few times in that early section where I'm just like, Spider-Man, save that person. Or like when the old guy gets hit by the car, I'm like, Spider-Man, are you not going to check if that guy's like dead? Are you just going to leave? Oh, I guess he's just going to leave. So
Yeah, the car guy. Yeah, it was kind of like, oh shit, you want to check if he's all right? I think the film generally does an okay job with like, okay, she's inhabiting people, it's okay for Spider-Man to punch. But like with the Scorpion thing, I was just like, is Scorpion not gonna like wake up from this with a huge headache? But then again, Spider-Man was only fighting him that way because he was struggling to deal with his powers and that he lost control and stuff like that. Like before that, it was
evil bastard, so I don't care what happens to him. But for normal civilians, I just wish there was a few more moments of him, just at least mentioning like, hey, that guy's fine, or like, hey, that old lady, don't torment her for answers. She doesn't know anything. But again, that mostly just happens in like the first act, and then like after that, it's pretty consistent that he's always interacting with people. So I'll just do good faith and say that they didn't throw that lady in the gulag. And also that all those cop cars that went flying and the other cars, they live in a cartoon world, so they're hurt, but they're not dead.
I mean, that is always like the kind of thing I've gone with when people said like, oh, did Batfleck not kill that guy by throwing a crate at his head? I'm like, I don't know, maybe people are just more durable in this universe and he knows that. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with cartoon logic. That's usually what you have to do in these types of things anyway.
Add a bonk sound effect, and I don't see any reason why anyone should complain.
Indeed.
For my own, I guess, negatives with the movie, it's very small things, and people are probably going to call this nitpicking, but anyway. So I think this is more of a societal issue than anything else. But I'm just saying, take the scene where Yelena is in the tub, and Spider-Man enters the room and says, she says, take off your clothes. This is the second time we've done this gag. And both times it is another instance of, it's okay because... Okay, put it this way. I don't like using the reverse the genders argument, but genuinely make Black Widow a man and that scene is immensely creepy. It's creepy anyway, to be honest, but like, on a societal level, people aren't going to really talk about it as much because Yelena, a lady, is asking Spider-Man, a man, to take off his clothes and stuff in order to have this conversation. But if you had a dude in the tub being like, take off your clothes and get in the tub or I'm not giving you the intel, that would be the talk of the fucking town. This is a societal issue more than it is a Spider-Man issue.
What did I just come back to? What the
We're talking about negatives now.
Yelena... Yeah.
We're talking about negatives now, and I'm just saying, I think we really need to stop playing up girls demanding men take off their clothes for laughs in movies, because if you reverse the genders, it's the talk of the town.
Yeah, no, you know what? I didn't really think about it in that moment, but I guess the thing I did think about was like, this is gonna sound funny or sort of weird, I guess, but when she was like, hey, suit off, get in the bathtub, whatever. I know it's like, it's it was meant to be funny or whatever, but I was still kind of thinking of like, the Home trilogy, and I was like, what is going on right now? Like, she's telling this young dude to just get in the tub and like hang out, but like obviously Peter Parker's a lot older in this movie. So like obviously that's why it's played for laughs, because it's
But
like,
then
oh,
she
it's
mentions like
a guy
the whole...
that doesn't want to get naked and hang out in a pool with a random woman. But also it's just like, hey, I still feel a little bit weird about that, just a little bit. Like
No, I agree. Like
strange.
Another thing that's a little strange is obviously I love a Mysterio name drop, but when she mentions this like fan art of him and 10 Mysterios and stuff like that, I'm like, during the events of Far From Home, he was like 16.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of playing that for laughs here. Like, I
didn't think about a lot of that until after the movie ended, and I was like, because they kept showing her, like, whenever she would show up, she's still in, like, the bathtub, and I was like, or the sauna, or, like, the hot spring, whatever you want to call it. Like, it wasn't specifically a bathtub, but...
Well, it was
that's one thing I think you could point at and be like, that's kind of weird. I think it's played for laughs, but it's kind of weird if you think about it for more than 5 seconds.
No, definitely. That's what I'm saying is like, again, this is something that just films do. Like, there's a societal thing, and Hollywood is very much, like that. But, like, yeah, it's a little strange just to think about.
It kind of reads like, networks that have, stars, like child stars in their films and stuff. And then once they get to a certain point, they start going, oh, okay, well, they're older now, so we can start having them in, like stuff that has more like risque jokes and stuff. Like I remember a lot of like, I feel like Nickelodeon did a lot of that. I don't want to talk obviously at length about the horror stories at Nickelodeon, but like, shows like Victorious and iCarly and stuff. Like, as the actors got older, like there was like an increase in very strange and like,
that is a real
stuff.
World thing.
And it's like they take advantage of stuff like that. It just feels very, very gross that they do that.
I noticed that like the media, like the second Millie Bobby Brown turned 18, the media was like, "Oh, Millie Bobby Brown's looking sexy in this stunning outfit." I'm like, guys, you really don't wait around, do you? Like, and then there was the whole thing of that Bad Baby girl, the Cash Me Outside girl, started like an OnlyFans on her 18th birthday, which got like millions of subscribers overnight. Like, people get so fucking weird about these things on a societal level. Like, and it needs fixing. It needs addressing. Like, so that is the kind of thing where I'm like, yep, society needs to address this.
Disgusting.
And I think it would be good if a Spider-Man movie could actually, not participate. But, like, it is what it is. The other thing I would say is I think the way they handled the whole MJ kiss thing, like, as in, like, so the thing with it is, like, so they have that rooftop kiss where it turns out Jean Grey was controlling her. Now, there are many ways that they kind of soften that up a little bit, but what that is in effect sexual assault. Like, she still ultimately used the bodies of 2 other people effectively to conduct a kiss, effectively. That is still a form of sexual assault. The thing is, there are little stipulations that you can add, like, Jean Grey wasn't actually experiencing that herself. She controls the bodies, she doesn't feel what they feel. Because otherwise, when that guy got hit by a car, she'd be like, ah! But,
I didn't think that's a good point. I didn't actually clock that, because imagine if she did feel that and she's just like, next time Peter sees her, she's in like a full body cast and she's like, this stops nothing, Parker. This will not stop me.
The scene where Spider-Man apologizes, which I think is good. I think it's good that he apologizes for his part in that. Even if he didn't know and stuff, he apologizes for that, which is what he should do. And that's a better example to set than what a lot of people are seeing these days. The thing is, I think when MJ kind of hand waves it away as like, I was basically unconscious, so I didn't really experience anything. It doesn't really matter to me. I think it's fine that she's saying that to Peter, but you do run the risk of, hey, that sexual assault thing, I was unconscious, so it's okay. You do kind of run the risk with those optics.
I see what you're saying there. I think that I get what you mean. This is a very specific, not real at all world example, and I think it can stand on its own, because she was literally like body snatched And
well,
like that
I think it
doesn't
also
happen in real
works
life.
from the
Like
perspective that
that's
she's saying
yeah.
it to Peter. You know, I think it works on that.
It's also, yeah,
angle.
neither of them had. Yeah, the only one with bad intentions in that whole scene was Jean. She was
But it
using
is
like their
questionable.
previous.
It is
It's
questionable
yeah, it's
because
not great.
it does relate
Yeah.
to a real world thing, and it does effectively use I was unconscious, so water under the bridge. I think as something she's saying to Peter, that's fine, but it is very optically on
It
the
can
line.
be read badly.
Yeah,
It can be
you
read
can easily
strangely, of
misconstrue
course.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
I think
imagine
it is
like
like
some people might hear that and be like, oh,
I think yeah, I think it is a bit of. I'm not gonna say it over. You're not like going crazy off the rails saying that, but I do think because it's a movie where there is a person hijacking bodies, and it's like, hey, I literally was in at my desk, and now I'm falling off a building. I have literally no idea what happened. I get what you mean, but I think in this instance, it is not. I don't think people would read it like that, especially because there's the apology, and Peter is obviously like they treated it with respect, and then they
yeah.
do
I mean,
go
the
through
fact
it
that they
fast. Like
acknowledge
MJ
that
is
in
like,
the
I don't
first
remember
place.
anything, and that kind of gets it kind of leads into another plot point where he goes, "Wait, you don't remember what you were like?" Then I think that guy lied to me. This other thing happened. Yada yada yada.
The thing is,
I
the
get what you're
fact they
saying.
acknowledged it in the
I
first
yeah.
place was good. I'm glad they acknowledged it, and I'm glad that they did, do that. It's a tricky one to get right, and I don't know if they got it 100% here, but I can see that there was a genuine, earnest effort. This is not a Wonder Woman 1984 situation where it's just like, what the fuck were you thinking? This is like, okay, you had a really difficult task here. I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10 on this front, but I appreciate that we at least acknowledge the optics. And I know you mentioned, like, it is a movie with a lot of mind control and stuff, but they do acknowledge it, though. That's the thing. So I think if you do acknowledge it, then... I mean, you have to acknowledge it. You can't not acknowledge that, Like, I'm glad that they did.
Oh yeah.
I think if it
I
was
think they-
other
I think they did the
Marvel
best they
writers,
could.
I think if it was another Marvel movie, it would have been played as a joke, and that would have been the exact wrong way to do it. And the
I
fact
don't know
that
if
it
they
was
would have gone that
portrayed
far
as something that
in another movie.
I don't know. I don't know. I could have said like if it was Loki or something.
I don't
like
think
Loki's
Marvel
like,
has
haha, I
ever
kissed you.
outright
Like
done anything
but
that irresponsible.
I don't think so. But I'm saying like I feel like it would be a lot more like I'm saying that would have been the wrong way to handle it. I mean, the fact that it is not a Marvel joke scene where they're like, haha, sorry about that. And haha, okay, yeah. Like they actually do have a serious conversation for a moment about it is the right way to handle that. If, they are going to tackle something like that at all.
Oh, Jorno's just brought up a brilliant point that I always forget to talk about, but this is a great point. VMAX. So, like, VMAX was kind of hinted at as kind of being like a MacGuffin throughout the movie that Jean Grey is after, because it's like at the Department of Damage Control. So, obviously the big reveal is that VMAX isn't a thing. It's just, the vent that Sarah was looking up at the time of her death. What do we think of that reveal?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's like some of the darkest stuff I would say in a Marvel movie.
I
It's
agree.
fucking gut wrenching.
Yeah.
That I thought she was going to be alive. I thought Sarah was going to be alive, and they were going to find her. And the fact that's because I was like, VMAX must be something that's going to allow Jean to like control a shit ton of people at the same time. And when it's not, and she is still able to control a shit ton of people at the same time anyway, I was like, oh, fuck, like that's like she's always had the ability to do that, and it was activated by her absolute just devastation was just really it hit really really hard because I was expecting it to be like a substance in a needle basically to like, oh, if you inject it to an X-Men, I mean, not that, you know what I mean, like a mutant or whatever, it's gonna make them stupid strong, it's gonna give their powers like a huge boost. I really like that it wasn't that, because I think that they've done that a million times with, oh, let's go
VMAX
get the
could've-
thing to stop the bad guy,
VMAX could have just been like a VR headset that experiences like the IMAX experience. Like you put the headset on, it's like you're sitting in an IMAX movie theater, seeing it in its full frame glory as it was meant to be seen. But yeah, no, I don't understand when people are like, oh, I was disappointed. I'm like, no, this was so dark. Like, I mean, okay, to each their own. But
good.
the idea that her last thought like this was something so fucking meaningless as an air vent. That's so dark. And that's the
Yeah.
point where Metzger
Especially, yeah.
is really solidified as a villain. That's the point where it's like, this isn't a doctor doing tests. This isn't a guy that just happened to lie. This is a bastard. This is a fucking awful person.
Yeah, and he still. It's also really terrifying that he can sit there when he has Jean captive as well, and talk to her all calm and like, "Hey, we're gonna do this now, Jean. Are you ready?" You know, like we're gonna like just kind of doing the same thing he probably had done with Sarah in the past, and he has no remorse. He has no reservation about continuing to do this. He's like, "Oh yeah, we killed the last one, so we can just we'll just use your sister now." And you know, she's more powerful, so that's even better for us. And it's the fact that he'll keep. It's almost like the masking thing, actually. Not that he's trying to hide. He's not hiding anything. Like he's masking when he's around Peter. He's masking when he's around other employees and stuff that don't know about all this. But when the mask is off for that guy, he's just a despicable, horrible bastard who is willing to do literally anything to get his way, to get what he wants. And it's really stomach turning. Like I know Peter's not one to let the guy die, but like, damn, like he definitely deserves it.
This is
You know,
why
like,
Spider-Man
that's
is
the kind
great.
of guy. It's like die, please.
This is why Spider-Man is so great. Like, you wouldn't blame him for going ape shit on people, but he doesn't, you know? Even with, like, the whole Jean Grey thing, what she did to him on the rooftop was absolutely despicable. Like, at that point, I think he was well within his rights to just fucking grab her and chuck her off of a building. But he's compassionate. He's Spider-Man, you know? He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean he literally
won't let
says unforgivable when it
Yes.
happens.
Yes, and I love that he said that. And I also just love that delivery. And also just the way she chucked MJ off the building. Like, if Spider-Man had not known how to act in that moment, or hadn't known... Because we've seen that webbing someone up when they fall can have consequences. Like, that could
I was
have
really
killed
worried
her.
about that. Yeah, especially
like,
because he was
genuinely.
not. He was not in his perfect right mind at that point anyway. He was doing a lot to hold back, like, just full on going ape shit, because he was like holding MJ by the throat. He was losing his cool. If he had lost his cool a little bit more, if he had sort of lost his control like he did when he was fighting Scorpion, MJ would have been dead, like for sure. Like he probably wouldn't have been able to get the web shooters to work properly. He probably wouldn't have been able to catch her in time. He might have not hesitated, but he might have made a mistake like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man did, because he was acting too. I mean, he obviously had to act fast when Gwen was thrown off the tower, but like, he didn't have time to think about every single piece of what was happening. If Peter had really let go at that moment and had really lost his cool, it would have been
Catastrophic.
really bad. Yeah, like, and I guess it says a lot about him that because MJ is involved in that situation at all, that was probably the one thing keeping him from going ape shit on the whole situation. Because I feel like with Scorpion, when MJ was not around, it was just like random people, and then the cop that he's always talking to. I forget her name. I'm sorry. I've only seen the movie once.
DeWolf. Jean DeWolf.
DeWolf, yeah, it's DeWolf. Like since it was nobody around that he was explicitly. I mean, obviously he cares about people, but like there was nobody around that he was being conscious of aside from Scorpion. It was like, hey, he lost his shit. He almost killed Scorpion. He almost killed some random some cop, and then he's horrified by it. So I think that was before the MJ scene, right?
Wait, which bit?
Was that before the MJ scene?
What's that? Tell me what that is.
All the thing where he almost kills the cop by mistake, and he's beating the ever-loving shit out of Scorpion. That happens before.
That's before the MJ, yeah.
So I think if that hadn't happened before also, and he like had to be more conscious of him losing his shit, it probably could have gone really badly as well. Like even if MJ was there, I think if he had not been aware that he has to be more in control of it than he was, then that also could have just gone very, very badly. So again, it just goes to show how strong Peter is, even when he's losing control of like everything, and he's scared. It's I don't know, it's just such a good movie. Like there's at least one thing in every single scene that is worth talking about, which I think is fantastic.
Also, this film has the best web swinging scene I've ever seen.
Absolutely, yeah.
That bit where he like slides down what I think it's Central Park Plaza, I'm not sure. But he slides down that and then he does the big drop and like you see the inside of his lens and stuff and you see like Peter looking all kind of scared as he's about to do the big dive. And then just the way like the swing arc is like so weighted, but then he launches into the air and straightens his fucking glove. Ian, you pointed out how fucking badass that. Like,
oh yeah,
that was just awesome.
I like how there was a point where we were like, let's talk about the bad stuff in this movie, and we talked about like hardly anything because everything else is so fucking good.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the nice thing about the movie is there's usually when you finish a movie that you really like, it's like, yeah, it's really good, minus like that one character, but that won't be a problem. And then when you rewatch it, it's worse. Or, it's like, oh, it was good, but like the last act was a little rushed. And then when you rewatch it, it's like, oh no, it's really rushed. But with this movie, it's just kind of like, there's nothing like, there's not a core integral problem, No.
Like, for example, I like Far From Home a lot, but like it leans way too hard on farcical comedy at points, even to do like pivotal plot detail. The 1-2 punch of the take off your clothes scene and the bus scene where he calls a drone strike on the bus, and it is just a farce. He's just like, oh shit, they're gonna see that I'm Spider-Man. Guys, look at the baby mountain goats. It's a bad scene. That's a really, really bad scene. Brand New Day doesn't really have a really bad scene in there.
That scene's really... I love that he's trying to get the glasses back from Flash, and Flash is like, hey, Peter, you're fucking with him. And he just accidentally knocks Flash the fuck out. Is really funny.
I can find the funny in it, but you are leaning. They're leaning very hard in on like the fast comedy as telling the story here.
It's like Flash deserves it too in that moment too. Like Flash has always been kind of a dick, so it's like when he gets accidentally knocked out, it's just like, okay, you know what? That's a little cathartic. But
sure, yeah, I found those scenes were just very badly done. Basically, like. Yeah, and then like not Far From No Way Home. The story is held together with tape. Like things like, oh, it was all over the news. Dr. Osborn was the Green Goblin. Like, did you even watch the movies? Nobody knew. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that was the whole point. We don't want anyone to know. He didn't even want Harry to know. Like, the fact that Harry found out was literally just wrong place, wrong time. Like,
if
it's very
everybody
unfortunate
knew that Norman was the Goblin, that would completely nullify the central conflict of Spider-Man 2 and 3. Like,
I don't know what that would have even done, really. Like, or who would have even... Like, the only thing I can think of is that Harry... Well, no, because even if Harry had said, like, oh yeah, Spider-Man killed my father, people would have been like, why? Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't even think Harry would talk about that. Like, if the press found out
about
Norman
it all
was
the
dead,
time. Like, if it was all over the news, people were like, Harry, he definitely did that to himself, mate. Did you see what he was like?
Yeah. Yeah, no, if they... That's why I don't understand that plot point. Like, I feel like that was something that they just didn't think about. They just said it because they were like, oh, Otto would have something to say about this because he's like a genius man who has a genius plan. And I don't know. Like, even the fact that, I mean, Otto was all over the news. He was not protecting his identity at all. The fact that they, whoever knows that he's dead, Sandman knows Otto's dead. That's fine. That makes sense. But the Norman Osborn thing is very weird because the more I think about it, the more it does not work even slightly. Because the only thing he says before he dies is, Peter, don't tell Harry.
Yeah,
and that would
Peter
include telling the entire fucking world.
Yeah, Peter doesn't. Peter doesn't tell Harry. He honors that wish at his own expense, mind you. But if it was just all over the news, what was Peter even fucking doing? He could just Harry. Maybe every time they walk past like a TV thing or like a newspaper, Peter would just wrap his hands around Harry's eyes or something. But like,
I don't get
he
it.
would
Did
know.
They ever explain that? Did they even say like,
what? Why Harry didn't know? Or...
No. Hold on.
What do you mean? Did they explain what?
Has anyone ever gone on record saying, "Hey, yeah, we fucked up with that," or like?
No. I mean, another massive fuck up with No Way Home is the fact that Electro is there when Electro never found out Peter's identity.
Well, that too, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this Brand New Day doesn't really have anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not a huge stickler for plot holes. I can overlook plot holes if the filmmaking is good or if the storytelling is good or something. But I mean, like, my buddy Boba brought up quite a good point. Like, why... The film doesn't really give us any reason as to why Jean Grey couldn't just, like, wait for Metzger to go home and hop into his head and find out what VMAX is.
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
The only thing
don't
I could
have too
think
much
is
to
that
say
in
about
using
that, I guess, 'cause-
superhumans to do the bidding, that she's protected, and it's like a safety thing. Because she knows what Metzger's kind of capable of and stuff like that. Or does she? Does she know what Metzger's capable of? Like, she knows that Metzger's a problem, like... But
I mean,
she didn't
he
know her
captured
sister was outright
sister,
dead.
which is... Yeah, he captured her, and she knew that her and her sister were at least powerful enough to take over people's minds and bodies to have them... You know, you can control people. Like, that seems like a stupid, busted power to have, and they still got her. So I would be like, yeah, this guy is pretty formidable, I think. Like, obviously,
Well,
they
the
weren't
thing is, we
trained
don't really
to deal
see
with,
him
like,
get her
military
through
presence or
formidable-
anything like that.
But we don't see him get her through formidable means. When we see the flashback, she's just taken down by some guards.
Well, I know. I think they weren't ready for that. But the fact that they still got them after, like, they have the ability to... Like, theoretically, like, I guess if they had locked the fuck in, Jean and Sarah could have maybe taken control of one of the guards each and had them fight back, but I think they were so shocked at the situation that they didn't have a chance to do that. And that Sarah obviously was taken out of commission pretty quickly.
I have also
Um,
heard people say, because of just the sheer villainy of Jean Grey in this movie, it's going to be hard to kind of redeem her for the X-Men, but to be fair, when you know what, like, comic Jean Grey could be like at times, like, she's capable of this. And I also like that Brand New Day didn't give her the redemption, they just kind of sent her off on her way, effectively. But, like,
did we talk about how... I didn't realize what was happening at the end of the movie with Jean sticking close by to the hospital, you know, undercover at least. I don't know if we talked about it, but the fact that Peter probably would have died if it hadn't been for Jean, like, she was controlling his body and breathing for him and, like, keeping him alive through that whole thing, because she only leaves once he's, like, back breathing.
yeah,
on his
it
own.
was a better act, but it
Uh,
wasn't an outright redemption. Like, she was fucking evil in that movie for a long
Yeah,
period
no,
of
it's not a
time.
redemption. That is definitely... It's she has changed in that point. She knows that, you know, she
Yeah.
shouldn't have done all that. She knows Peter was truthful when he's trying to get through to her, and she saves his life basically.
And she's on the path
Um,
to it. And
but-
it's like, you know, if we could accept Peacemaker's redemption after what happened with, you know, Rick Flag, I guess.
I think also one more thing. Jason Lendros Jason Lendros in the chat says, have we brought up how Peter and Banner inadvertently became the Tony Stark of the MCU at this point, having created what will likely be future anti-mutant tech, which is
This
a
is
lot
what
of
always
things people are
happen- yeah,
talking
like
about now. Is unfortunate that Peter literally created a power inhibitor that can be used on anybody, and that is absolutely going to be a huge fucking problem for especially mutants, which is really unfortunate because he did not mean for that to happen. He was developing that to keep himself going, and Banner obviously developed that to keep everyone safe and so he could live a life that he wanted to live. But when the wrong people get their hands on that, it is going to be very bad. That would be extremely bad for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Is there anything else? I have heard the critique that maybe they should have shown how Peter does, like, kind of afford some of those things. Because it is like, okay, if he doesn't have any job, how is he affording even a little bit of rent? Like,
How is he eating? He has food. He's using DoorDash and stuff. Like, how?
I mean,
DoorDash
he's
is,
also got a very
like-
expensive Samsung Galaxy Fold. Like,
I almost
and I know
got one of
people
those
will-
when I got my phone upgraded, and it was like, hey, yeah, it's going to be $200 added onto your bill every month. And I was like, no. You know, like,
I know
do not
people
need
often
that,
bring up that the MCU has a different economy, but at the same time, come on. Come on, be real. Be serious here. Like, yeah, I know it's a technologically advanced world and all, but, like, be serious. Like, This could still be done with a poverty consultant. Like, you could still get a poverty consultant on these films and give Peter a more sensible phone. Like, at least just give him a more sensible. Just give him like a Xiaomi or something. You know, like. But I get it, product placement and shit. That's the cost.
I've seen some people say things like, since Spider-Man was not erased from anything, it's possible that he still had some connections, and like it might have been like maybe some of the other heroes or something were able to help him with that, or like at least get him.
Yeah, maybe he was able to get
I
effectively.
guess they wouldn't be able to get him a job.
I mean, I would have
like maybe.
Yeah, if you would have asked me how to fix
stuff.
it, I think it would have been cool if in that opening intro, because you have that montage where he's fighting the different villains and stuff, and I love that montage. If during that you had a brief bit where you had a few shots where he's working different ridiculously awful jobs, and he keeps getting fired because he keeps like
in between.
Yeah, he keeps having to like go off and be Spider-Man because they do that in Spider-Man 2. Like Spider-Man 2 covers the same overall ground there, but Spider-Man 2 shows he's trying to work, for Joe's Pizza and stuff like that.
Is there a thing, correct me if this is not right, but I feel like I saw something recently that said Peter, he was working at like a sandwich shop delivering stuff off screen. I don't know if that was a real thing or if someone just said that, but that's the kind of thing, like you said, you could have shown in some cases. But it's also weird because Peter Parker does not exist, so it's like, how is he going to get a job if he doesn't have any credentials anywhere? Like,
well, the other thing I was going
I
to say
don't know, that's my
is,
question too.
You do at least, you do get some small, subtle bits of storytelling. In that, you've got the bodega, like where he visited in the Homecoming. I can't remember the name of the guy. I think it's Delmar's Bodega. He has a Delmar's Bodega shirt on, and I can't imagine he is just selling Delmar's Bodega souvenir shirts. So maybe that's a uniform. And then also, like, Ned has all those pictures of Spider-Man from, like, Daily Bugle printouts, and it's like, well, someone must have took those fucking pictures, and I don't think the photographer was climbing a flagpole.
Oh, it's also, I know that they were done this way because they are references to comic covers, but anytime, like, he's doing a comic cover thing, and it's, like, slowing down or whatever, I guess you could imagine, like, maybe that's him setting up cameras for himself and taking pictures, and maybe he is selling things to the Bugle. They just don't want to cover it.
Yeah, potentially.
But yeah, that's something I think that would have made it a little tiny bit better. But since the movie was already so long, I imagine they were like, we don't want to bog down pace if we add stuff here and there about that.
An interesting bit of trivia here is that there's a fella called, I just know him as Will, really. But Will, like, long ago made, like, a thread of all the cut content from, like, Spider-Man 3. He's a huge Spidey fan and stuff like that. And he actually got the chance to work on the production design of this movie, which I think is really awesome that he got to do that. He did a lot of the Daily Bugle clippings and stuff, and he gave us, like, clear looks at them. And here's a fun little bit of trivia. You know how he had, like, the final swingsuit at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home? He had that very different version of the blue and red suit where it was like shiny blue and well, a lot of people were like, oh damn it kind of sucks that we only got to see that for a few seconds. But that has actually been retconned. So it's like what they did with the upgraded suit at the beginning of No Way Home. It's got like it's slightly different design, even though in universe it's the same suit. This is the same thing, because there's a newspaper clipping that mentions Spider-Man debuts garish new costume at the Rockefeller Center. And it's dated, I think, December 2025, I think, which is when No Way Home takes place, I believe. I can't remember the exact number, but he's wearing the new suit in that image. So it's like, okay, the brand new day version of the suit is meant to be the suit we saw at the end of No Way Home. It's just kind of a retcon, I guess. Which I could live with, I guess. It would have been nice to have seen maybe like a practical version of the final swingsuit, but at the same time, I couldn't really see any point in having two costumes that are so fucking similar in the movie, because people probably wouldn't even realize it changed. However, I don't know if you guys spotted this. Some people apparently didn't. I thought it was quite obvious, but there are two suits in this movie. Like, people often point out that this is the first, like, MCU Spider-Man movie with only one suit in it, but no, there are still two. Did you guys notice that in the Aunt May scenes, he's wearing the homecoming suit?
Yeah, because it's in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't
It's
notice
his
that.
memory. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was
gotcha.
quite
Nice
surprised.
attention to detail.
I was happy to see it again because it now means that before the homecoming suit and the Iron Spider were tied for how many movies they showed up in, now the homecoming has finally beat the Iron Spider. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess let's just kind of wrap this up then. Overall, how do you think this kind of ranks among other Spider-Man films? Is this truly that special, and does it suck?
Yeah, it's horrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah, awful movie. Yep.
I know. I had a lot of fun with it, and I don't know. I just feel like I need, now it's encouraged me to go rewatch those other live action movies, and finally give them my modern eyeballs. So we'll see what happens. But no, it's great.
No, good
Great
point.
movie from start to finish. I was really invested in it, and I had a great time. So
Yeah, I think Ian's right. I think going back and watching the first 3 now will be a lot different. It'll feel a lot different with Brand New Day showing up at the end of that watch through, and I think that'll be really fun. I think it'll be a really fun time to do it. I think obviously this is a spider cast. This is a spoiler cast for Spider-Man, so if you've been watching this, I'm hoping you already saw the movie and you didn't just let us.
I mean, if you're clicking on
spoil
something called
everything.
Spoiler Man Spider-Cast and you haven't seen the movie and you're worried about spoilers, with all due respect, you're a fucking moron. Like, I don't know what to say other than that.
I was gonna say my closing thoughts. Please watch the movie. I'm sure you've already seen it if you've been
you
watching.
can go
this.
see it again.
If
yeah,
you haven't,
like,
please watch the movie anyway. Just keep supporting it. I know it's the #1 opening for a movie ever in the history of the fucking universe, but it's worth seeing multiple times. And I don't usually say that. Like I would not go to a movie theater multiple times for very many movies.
I mean, you
this is one
spot
of the ones I
more as
would.
well the more you see it. There's a lot to dig around in here. Like,
Yeah.
this prompted a lot of conversation, this movie, which is wonderful.
For sure.
Like, I say like a lot, don't
Yeah.
I? It's kind of weird.
It's a lot of people do. It's
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, it did.
But
Human
yeah, no, I
moment.
agree. It's very special when a movie can be like, honestly, we could do multiple if we had structured this differently, like this spoiler cast, if we had went in order, we had done certain things. This easily could have been a multiple episode spoiler cast type thing because there is
could have,
so
because, like, we
much
could-
to go over.
I mean, there's still more I feel like we haven't even properly tapped into, but I'm tired. Like, for example, I have no
Yeah.
notes on how a lot of, like, the Peter and MJ stuff was handled, especially kind of the outcome when she reads the letter and says, "I don't love you." But she handled it in, like, a very caring, very gentle way. The bit where he's playing with Legos with Ned and then he says, like, it's one of the most fun he's ever had in a long time. Like, absolutely beautiful. Like, the Peter, Ned, and MJ stuff is the highlight of this movie more than anything else. And it was just fantastic. And I also really have to take my hats off to, like, Zendaya and Tom Holland in this movie as well. Like, they've been amazing across all of these movies, but here they are absolutely pitch perfect. Even down to, like, when MJ was being mind controlled, how Zendaya's performance changes. But you also notice that she's not freaking out as they're web swinging. At that point, I kind of already knew something was up there. And then I was like, why do you sound more like Kirsten Dunst now in your line delivery? And I was like, oh my god, this movie's so good. This is such a good fucking movie.
It's incredible. It's amazing. It's an amazing Spider-Man experience.
It's the ultimate Spider-Man experience. Right now, on my Letterboxd ranking, I decided that even if just for now, I am aware I can be prisoner of the moment, but even just for now, it's currently at number 2 on my Letterboxd ranking of Spider-Man movies. Maybe it goes down? Very unlikely it's going to go up. Spider-Man 2 is still at number 1. And I will still give Spider-Man 2 the edge, because imagine all of the source of Brand New Day, except you actually have a Spider-Man villain. Plus, you've got the incredible world building of Spider-Man 2. For example, Spider-Man 2 has the way that Sam Raimi directs extras, okay? That immediately is incredible. And I will still say the action in this film is fantastic. I think the hand fight is probably one of the best MCU Spidey fights yet. I don't think any of it compares to Raimi's action, though, still. Like, in terms of just overall scope. That's not the worst thing in the world, though, because at the end of the day, I don't hold it against a movie for not having action that beats Spider-Man 2. Like, that movie's action was off the chains. It was brilliant.
Agreed.
Alrighty then, let's do these super chats then. But, like, yeah, top tier movie. Fucking loved it. Probably best MCU movie as well.
No. But that's fine.
Really? Okay.
What do you think
would
is the
say
best
is
one?
best MCU? It's gonna be Guardians, isn't it? You're gonna say Guardians.
Guardians 2.
I knew it was gonna be a Guardians. I
Guardians
just
2 a
knew
lot.
it was gonna be
Guardians
a
2
Guardians.
is really good.
I don't even
2 is
like
good.
Guardians. I don't even like Guardians 1 or 3, so that's what makes it even more special.
You're so weird, dude. Just so fucking
Guardians 2
weird,
is
man.
really good. I would have also accepted. I know Avengers 1 is not perfect, but that movie is so cool. Like that really did feel like the MCU I feel like has been trying to do Avengers 1 level of good shit since Avengers 1 dropped. And I don't know if they've necessarily made it to that point again. Like Endgame and Infinity War are close, but Avengers 1 just really does feel like the culmination of the time they put into those first couple movies to set up the characters actually paying off and feeling legitimate for it. Like
Also,
it kind of like a you had to be there kind of thing almost.
I think it is you had to be there because I remember at the time when I saw it, I was like, "That's the greatest movie I've ever seen." Back in 2012, I was like, "That's incredible." I can't
It just
watch
worked
it
really well.
anymore.
The actors had great chemistry. Like it's just it's so
I
fun
struggle
to watch
I struggle with the Whedon Avengers movies, and it's not just because Joss
yeah.
Whedon is a dirtbag. It's because the way he just writes dialogue to me is fucking insufferable across both of those movies. I think the dialogue in Avengers 1 has aged really badly, but I think the cinematography's aged really badly too. That thing looks like a TV movie. And the thing that's weird is it's not just aging.
It does,
Like, Iron
yeah.
Man 1 did not have that problem.
Yeah, no, that movie actually, like, Iron Man 1 almost feels like the kind of thing where it's like, hey, we're trying to do this setup for this whole, thing, and if it doesn't work, we might as well have the movie still be like really fucking good, right?
Well,
And
you want to know a
does
fun...
feel like it could stand on its own.
Well, you want to know, do you know what, like, the nature of Iron Man 1's production was like?
No, but I do know that like a lot of Robert Downey Jr. stuff was like, back then I feel like it was still kind of a toss up as to whether
It was
or
a
not they
risk.
should.
It was a big risk getting
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr., but that film, they were not locked in for that. I mean, they were, but they weren't. They were, but they weren't. The reason I say that is this was a movie where the script was effectively written in post-production. Like, there was so much improv in Iron Man 1 because the script just was not ready. It was in production hell. And the fact that it came out the way it did is just a testament to the pure skill of the production team.
That's impressive.
And
though.
also
Even
Robert
more
Downey Jr.,
impressive.
the actors and stuff. John Favreau, of course. But, like, just the whole production team working on that, they were incredible and managed to make that movie work. But, like, if you look into, like, the production history, that was a seat of the pants production on an unprecedented level. And it's insane that it turned out good.
It's always cool when something like that happens and it's actually good because it's sometimes if it's done well enough, you don't even know. Like I wouldn't have known that. The only thing I knew about was that I know before that movie and like for a bit, like Robert Downey Jr. was kind of like a huge risk to cast in anything because he was having a lot of trouble with like, all of that stuff that he was dealing with, like substances.
It's funny,
and all
at
that
the
shit.
time, Avi Arad was still kind of one of the head honchos at Marvel Studios, and he was like, absolutely not to Robert Downey Jr., has to be Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Feige
They're
worked his
still
way up
talking
the
about
ranks and
Tom
then
Cruise
fired
Iron
him.
Man. They're still bringing that shit up. That still might happen at some point.
Stop.
We'll see.
Just stop. I don't want to see Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
I don't either, but I feel like they're still going to stunt cast it because people have heard that they heard that was a possibility and they're like, well, yeah, you got to do it now, like like the Flash did Nick Cage Superman, just like that.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's amazing though. Nick Cage has played both Superman and Spider-Man, and one of them, he got turned into a CGI puppet of just disgust. And then the other one, absolute lock-in. Just fucking Spider-Noir is still absolute peak.
Yeah, no, that show's insane. Watch Spider Noir if you haven't. That show's amazing.
We watched
No
it
pun intended.
together.
It was pretty good, yeah.
That was
I
my
liked it a
5th
lot.
rewatch.
Well, that'll tell you. I'll tell you. Channel Pup approved.
Well, the thing is, it's not enough for me to recommend a show to someone. I have to be sure that the person watching it is paying attention at all times.
Yeah, no, he's not lying.
I'm not that bad about it anymore with the whole "you watching" thing, which was, by the way, inherited.
That's fine. I mean, I know if I'm showing someone something, I would like them to watch as well. But the more you do it, the more I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to pay attention. Like,
Oh no, it's
it's
more just beefing you than anything else.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, those super chats all logged or
Yes, they are. So yeah, thank you to everybody. And a generous love is absolutely right. Fucking Avi Arad knew how to make a mean toy back when he was the head of Toy Biz. So okay, let me just make sure I got everything, which I haven't because we got a new one here. Wait, did I not? Man, Windows 11 really does think copy paste is a negotiable, doesn't it? All right. Super chat mailbag open, everybody. Dylan, you're up first, Borker.
Yep. KB. Oh, sorry, no, not KB. KB later. Mr. Krabs 459. $4.99. Gromit and everyone, let go see Spooderman 4. Everyone. Spooderman 4, never seen it. 30 minutes later, Wallace. Broly crashing out. Broly. Ah! Thank you, Mr. Krabs.
The Fortnite
Thank
Lord
you. That was
fans.
that. Yep.
All right,
Thank you
the
very
next
much.
one.
Yep.
Borker. Ian, you're up.
Mr. Krabs 459 for the 199. Whisper, Homer, that was Broly. Homer, oh. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
I don't
Krabs.
understand what's happening in this universe.
I think we really don't have to. I feel like the less we understand, the more Mr. Krabs succeeds.
I loved reading that one. I hadn't seen the last line, the Broly so when I Wallace Broly crashing out and followed by Broly screaming really got me. I was like, what will happen in this sentence?
Borker.
Your
KB
comments are
with-
like a roller coaster, dude.
with the $9.99. Thank you, KB. Have you guys read IDW Sonic 88 and Metal Legion 4? Personally, I did have fun with 88, namely the character interactions and art, but I wish the Road to 100 story isn't as dragged out as it is. Ian, you take the lead here, man. Have you read Metal Legion 4?
No.
Oh, damn. Oh, damn, he's giving up. He's fucking giving
At this
up.
point, I'm just kind of waiting for it to finish up. But I mean, for the most part, IDW has not been my favorite for a while. But I just think in general the release schedule has really screwed over everything. Like regardless of whatever I think about the storylines.
Oh, look at
the
me!
release
I
schedule-
watched Game Apologist's video.
The release schedule has been absolutely abhorrent, and we should not have to take breaks because Sonic is hanging out with Godzilla for the main book to continue.
Not to mention, it's not worth even a month with these comics at the moment.
No.
They walk,
No.
they talk, they fall into a hole, some ooky shit happens, and they come out on the other end, and we learn nothing about them in the end. I think, with this one, you can see a clear attempt at evolving Sonic and Amy's relationship a little bit, I guess, but it can't do anything. They can't do Son Amy. It's not going to happen.
I'll give them that I at least like the idea behind the doppelgangers showing up. They're all slightly okay, actually, question about the doppelganger thing. I have no idea what's going on in that comic. I know they're in a spooky cave, walking around seeing spooky things. Do you think that any of that was okay, first question. How long ago do you think that was written and drawn? And follow-up question, do you think that they took any inspiration from the Backrooms and how the whole idea with that was oh yeah, it's remembering them incorrectly because all these doppelgangers are slightly fucked up and weird and stuff. And to me, it felt like it could just be oh, the fucked up, silly doppelganger stuff. But I kind of like thinking of it as almost a Backroomsy type vibe because that was very. I don't know. It could be right. How long
I still
ago do you
need
think that was
to. I
written?
need to see the Backrooms. I've heard such good things.
You haven't seen the Backrooms? Oh,
Nah.
have you seen anything? Have you seen any of the YouTube series at all? Or
No.
okay, well we can figure that out at some point. I think that'd be a fun watch. To go through a few of those and then watch the movie probably.
We'll never watch it.
Uh, I've seen that movie 4 times. I think I haven't seen the extended one yet though.
Man loves his movie.
But
He loves this movie.
It's very fun. I've always liked the Backrooms is just such a spooky concept, and Kane Pixels or Kane Parsons, however you want to say, his YouTube series is insane. Like the way he set all that up, and it's just so very cool. That's why I guess I want to give slight benefit of the doubt. I do like seeing a little bit of creepy, eerie, spooky in my Sonic.
I mean, I'll say this: I
kind of
really
fun.
like the designs of these ooky little versions of Sonic and Amy and stuff. I think the thing is, even considering that they're trying to kind of hint at, oh, maybe Sonic reciprocates the feelings and stuff like that, it still kind of feels very shallow. I feel like, you know, what these little phantom clone fuckies are saying could go a little deeper, but they're probably not
Yeah.
allowed to. Like, that's probably the main thing.
I think like there was one specific thing where I think the spooky Sonics are talking to Amy. Or it might be, I don't actually remember who it was, because a lot of the stuff they say could be very general to basically anybody, but, you know, like, some of the stuff that they say could be said to Tails about Sonic. Like, he's never going to actually, you know, be there forever. Like, he's not going to, like, that kind of thing. Like, he's never actually going to do this, or he's never actually going to be around you all the time. And it's like, okay. If they're going to do this, I feel like they should have gone deeper with it. Like, I assume they weren't allowed to say anything like, he will never love you. Like, they
But that's what they should do,
I
though.
imagine.
That is, like, that should be something Amy's bugged about, you know?
It would hit
like,
so much harder especially because she's trying so hard to not, like, they're trying so hard to not include that in anything. So if they start bringing that up and she's like, I've been trying so hard to not think about this. You know, like, I don't want to think about that because I know it's true. Like, that kind of thing, that would have hit so much harder. But I don't think they're allowed to do that. So,
I just, see, this is the thing where, like, I think everyone's taken a different meaning from, like, the whole Frontiers thing. What I took from it is that Amy genuinely loves Sonic and always will, but that she's perfectly capable of being happy without him. Like, and I think that's a really nice direction to take that. That was my take from, like, the Frontiers thing. But I think there's so many, like, different, like, conflicting bits of information here. I think this issue backs up that her love for him is genuine, and it's not just, like, you know, she's in love with adventure, like, was kind of the previous kind of thing. And that's
I
fine.
also love
I'm
adventure.
Okay with that.
Sonic adventure.
I mean, she's just a gal that loves adventure. Like, that's kind of Amy's whole thing. But, like, yeah, this is the thing that kind of bugs me, is, like, we're always wrapping these things up way too quick. And then by the end of it, it's just like, the storm blew over, and it's like, man, we used to have fucking the Angel Island saga. Like, everyone brings up Metal Virus, but, like, the Angel Island saga was bigger and more epic than any of what we see lately as well.
Weird hot take, I think.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's not a hot take. Maybe that's the wrong word for it. If they're allowed to do a fucking zombie storyline where a majority of the characters are turned into fucked up evil versions of themselves that are completely mindless and bent on just infecting the whole world, why is Amy, or having, like, any of this, like, why can they not say, like, love? Or, like, why can't they go any farther than, like, what, you know, Sonic will never love you. He'll never be there for you like you want him to be. Why can't they say that, but they can turn the characters into literal fucking zombies?
The general mandate is that love and relationships can be hinted at, but they don't happen in the Sonic universe, basically.
Okay, so they do so much of a better job of hinting at things between Tangle and Whisper than they've ever done with Sonic and Amy. Like, it is, I bet when Whisper is screaming her, like, throat out, basically, is that the right word? Screaming her lungs out. Sorry, that's what I meant. Screaming her lungs out because Tangle did not come back and she got. I was like, oh my god, like, I can feel that. That's like a real, like, she is losing her very, very close best friend who she loves.
You're touching on the reason
that.
why Tangle and Whisper
it's
were
like,
so present. Like, they did get a lot of feedback that Tangle and Whisper were in it too much, and regrettably, I was one of the people saying that I think they're in it too much too. But the reason they were in it so much is because they're the only fucking characters they're allowed to actually develop and explore these things with. They're not allowed to do that with Sonic, Amy, Tails, and Knuckles. There was a time when they were allowed to do it. There was a time when they were allowed to do that with Amy, Tails, and Knuckles. That time is gone. The 2017 mandates happen. They can't do that. They're all static now. Like, so that's where we're at. That's when it sucks.
We've definitely talked about that too before. Like, I know I've specifically mentioned on this podcast, having one static character in Sonic is sort of like, you know, it's fine as long as the other characters get to learn and advance through things. Like, if he's the one that can help them move forward in their own stories, then that's perfectly acceptable. If every single character is static, then we're just kind of treading water, and none of them can swim. I'm telling you,
this current Sega regime, something will happen.
But, you know.
Something will happen, okay? This is my prediction within the next 10 years or so. Something will happen with IDW that requires Sega to look for another comic publisher. And when they go into that one, characters like Tangle and Whisper will then become static characters too, because they're established cast members.
If they even get to continue.
Provided they don't erase them out of existence, like they did with the Freedom Fighters. So it's either they get erased out of existence or lobotomized.
This is weird for me to say, because I was never that into the Archie comics. I am very interested in them now, obviously, because of everything we've learned, everything we've heard from you, Ian, obviously, but like, and lower it. But like, I don't think I could realistically go through another, hey, let's reboot the comics thing at this point, because it took so long for them to hit a stride, and then we saw the stride stale into
I thought it took about
maybe that's
4
the wrong
issues
terminology
to hit its stride.
No, I think, okay, I mean, like, what am I trying to say? I think they were able to establish a very nice world in these comics for a while, and then it went sour, basically, because of all the stuff we've talked about previously. I don't want to go through the whole setup thing again, where they're like, hey, it's me, Sonic, and I'm running around. Like, I don't want to do any of that shit again, where it's like, hey, let's set up all the characters,
and they do, like,
the,
10 years
hey, it's Amy Rose, and they put, like, the logo on the screen, like, it's, wow, it's my friend Amy the Rose, and they have, like, it's like, oh, fuck, can we just tell a story,
it's the kind
please?
of thing where I think 10 years down the line or something, maybe I will be more game for a reintroduction, provided it's a good reintroduction. Because I will admit, IDW's reintroduction to the Sonic universe was quite weak. But, like, after about 4 issues, once you'd set... What? Yeah, I find it so crazy that the modern canon is entirely built off of forces. That's insane to me. But I think the problem that I've definitely identified now is that there's such a discrepancy between what Sega want for the characters and what the writers of the comics want for the characters. Writers like Ian Flynn and Evan Stanley clearly want to develop the Sonic characters. It is obvious in their writing that they really want to do that, but Sega don't. So it's like Sega need to maybe just sit down with Ian Flynn and Evan Stanley, find out what they want, and find a way to make that work. Because right now, it really does feel like we're reading comics written by someone with a ball and chain around their foot.
That is a great way to describe the whole doppelganger thing, where they're like hinting at all this stuff in the background, but they can't ever say it. It does feel like
we're just hinting at it.
It's like, hey, we're trying to tell a story, but they won't let us. You know, it's unfortunate.
It's like the whole thing of, like, frontiers and stuff, of, like, you know, Tails is going to go off on his own adventures and journeys, and he's going to change, and Amy's going to do the same, and Knuckles might abandon the Master Emerald and shit like that. But it's within a franchise owned by a company that clings to mandate like they're in the middle of a blizzard, hurricane, tornado. Like, it doesn't work.
Tragic.
You can't have that mandate and then have that writer. Now, Sega, the right lesson to learn from this is to loosen the fuck up. Because here's another character that's been held back by mandate over the years. Spider-Man. If you read The Amazing Spider-Man, he's not allowed to develop anymore. And everyone has said it sucks. The fastest way to irrelevance is to over-curate. And I think we're just on a very slippery slope with IDW Sonic right now. The games will always have the gameplay, but right now IDW Sonic has so little going for it. They keep setting up things that will never pay off. They keep hinting at things that will never pay off. And it's just, what is the fucking point? We're going to then have a big break while we finish up Sonic vs. Godzilla, which has all the fucking substance of... what's the thing that doesn't have any substance?
An air sandwich.
Yeah, it has all the substance of an air sandwich. And then you're going to be waiting months for another issue where they're going to walk, they're going to talk, they might say something that maybe shitbaits you a little bit, and then the cycle will repeat itself. The only reason anyone is still reading this is because they're just not bored yet. But it feels
also,
like
I
it's
guess
on
one
borrowed
thing to
time.
mention is we've mentioned the Son Amy thing, we mentioned the relationship thing. That is not specifically the only thing that they're holding back on either. I don't even care specifically if they do that. I just think that if they had talked more about, like, the fact that it's still like a one-sided thing, or you know, they're hinting at whatever Sonic. They've hinted at this in a lot of different ways, a lot of different canons. Like in Sonic Boom, Sonic and Amy clearly had a thing going on. They just didn't want to talk about it. They couldn't say very much, so they kind of joked about it a lot. They don't need to do that. If they that fly swatter, whatever that was, really just knocked my brain out of sorry.
No, it is amazing
what
how
was I
little
saying?
things like that can just fucking throw you off.
It's not like specifically that they did, like, it's just any character having any kind of arc would be fantastic. Because right now everyone is just repeating stuff that they've already said or that's already been said in the past. I remember a while back, I think it was you and Ian were talking about the Tails and Knuckles segment too, where I think it was you, Ian, where you were like, why in 2026 are we still talking about Knuckles having to allow people into his life to do things to help him? And it's
Yeah,
like,
or
yeah,
Tails
exactly.
being
Like, why the fuck
courageous
are we
as well.
retreading this again?
Like, how many
Like,
more
I don't
times are you
understand
going to
why
learn
we need
this?
to say this again.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in this is going to be a very relatable thing I'm going to say here. It's kind of like for like the 86 weeks after the Knuckles show came out, every single episode of Sunset City, we just kind of shat on the Knuckles show. That's kind of what's happening here, like, because we just said the same shit over and over again because it was
when
so
we did
baffling that
funny.
it was
I'm just,
like that.
You know, like, it was perfect.
We were at least funny doing it, yeah. But like, that's kind of what's happening. Like, they'll just take what they've been saying for the past like 40 issues and restate it in a different way, and it's like, at what point do we care? Stop caring, you know? Because like, I don't care about, like, if you're gonna tell me Knuckles still doesn't care about letting, or still doesn't understand about letting people into his life. What was that whole thing in that one Sonic special where Blaze visits Knuckles and literally Knuckles talks to her about letting people into their life and like not being at work all the time? Like, he literally says to her, you probably need to take a vacation or something. Like, from one Guardian to another, you need to have people around. You need to let people in, or else you're going to be miserable or whatever. Like, he talks something like that. And she goes, you know what? I think I will take a vacation. I'm going to stay in this universe for a while and like help Silver do some gardening.
Didn't we
So, like,
also?
where's that?
We also
Like,
had a
what happened
special
there?
issue. We also had a special issue where he's like, "Man, I'm really lonely," and then the Master Emerald like talks to him and kind of like shows him like, "Well, because I have the Master Emerald, I've met all these amazing people that I really care about." And it's like a really emotional story. And then Sonic, Tails, and Amy crash on his island, and he's like, what kind of trouble you guys brought this time?" And they're like, "Oh, you won't believe it." He's like, "You know what? We're gonna work on it together because we're friends and we're family." Where the fuck is that, Knuckles? That literally happened like 2 years ago in like a special. And now he's like grumpy.
I don't get it. Like, I just don't understand the need to retread the same story beats every 12 issues. It's really unfortunate that's how it is. So, like, that's what I'm saying, obviously. Like, this whole thing with them in the cave, interesting
Yeah,
idea.
which
They're not
one?
allowed to do anything really interesting with it. Yeah,
it
no,
just
you're
means
right. Yeah.
it means nothing. They're fake characters. Like, it doesn't matter if like
It's going through the
they
motions.
well, yeah, like at the moment where Amy's like, "Oh, get away from my Sonic," and people are like, "Oh my god!" Like, the reason you're clapping is because you haven't seen them do anything with the characters in years. So
Yeah,
like,
we're
you're like,
clapping
"Oh my
because
god!"
Amy's acting like Amy. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is not on the viewer's part, on the story part. That's pathetic. How
yeah,
how
this
is
is
Amy not a character?
this is just a testament to how lost that character has been.
It's very interesting. I just had this thought. It's almost like they're writing each issue of the comic, or like every couple issues of the comic, as if you've never experienced any of the others before. Like they don't want you to remember that they've already covered this ground. They're like, oh, maybe someone's gonna pick up issue 98 as their first issue, so we really need to retread this story again.
I
It's
think
like,
the other
you don't
thing
have
is
to do that.
we're
Please don't do that.
ultimately dealing with stuffy old men at Sega. who don't know what a story is, how a story works, have never taken a lesson in storytelling, have never watched a YouTube video about storytelling, who are saying, oh, we can retread this character development because we did that before. That's consistent, so we can redo that. But any new ideas, like even down to the fact that Chasing Shadows got cancelled. The first Shadow story in how long to focus on him that does not revolve around Maria. And of course it was too good to be true.
Yeah, no, it's still absolutely insane that they canceled that when the entire story was a cool setup of Shadow goes to the
Shadow
Syria.
meets Resident Evil. And like
it was Shadow plus Resident Evil, and to the point where the guy had to come out like again like almost a year later and like way after it was supposed to come out, and he was like, oh yeah, like it's not getting canceled. I feel bad for him, but he's like, it's not getting canceled, guys. We're just still passing notes back on the script. What? What do you mean?
What he meant by that is Sega keeps shooting down everything he wants to do, I imagine.
Exactly.
That's probably what that was.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, and the
I have
IDW
another-
writers and artists have been very public about the fact that Sega need everything run by them at all times. They are so thorough with this shit. Unless you're a company making AI-generated assets for them, in which case, standards go out the window.
I have another example of
Okay, but yeah, we do have to move on after your example.
But another example of this retreading thing and how destructive it can be is I've mentioned this before. I used to be a big fan of The Boys TV show on Amazon. Like I thought it was a lot of fun for like the first season or two. But one thing that they do is, and this I hate this specifically too because I don't give a shit about romance 90% of the time. So it's like they have two characters, Frenchie and Kimiko, and they have this will they won't they thing for the first season or two. And then it's like, yes, confirmed, they're going to be a thing. They do care about each other. They want to be with each other. And it's like a sweet story of them finding each other because they both have a lot of fucked up trauma and they kind of find a nice place with each other. And then I think how many seasons of that show are there? 5? I think there's like a season where suddenly they're not together anymore and Frenchie is like pursuing other romantic interests. And I don't have any problem with him pursuing other romantic interests if there was a reason. But it seemed like the reason was we kind of want people to like be upset that they're not together anymore. And then by the end of the season, they're doing this like, we should be together thing. And it's like, okay, we already did that. So I don't know what we're doing it again. And then it's like before the final season, I know like the team gets separated. Kimiko gets sent somewhere else. She's on her own for a bit. And they fucking do it again. Like they get back together and they're like, maybe we should be together. We should. They spend the season like, will they, won't they again? And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, why did we do this 4 times? I don't give a shit. Like after the second time, I was like, I don't care if they're gonna be together. I would rather just see like action and something that makes sense. I don't need you to keep spoon feeding me the same story because, and I hate to say this, I don't want to imply that like any of the actors were. I'm sure some of the actors were paid more than others. But, like, I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, they probably kept doing this because it was the cheapest storyline to include. And it's like, that fucking sucks, first of all, because I'm assuming that's probably part of it. But it's boring. Like, why do the same thing over and over and over again when it's already been solved? Like, I don't understand that. Like, and then the whole show suffers for it because they spend so much time on that they lose time for doing all of the other stuff that could have been making the absolute dog shit 3rd, 4th, and 5th seasons actually work. It's just really unfortunate. I don't know.
The other thing as well, though, is, like, the more they kind of bait the whole, like, Son Amy thing, because that's clearly what they've been doing lately, is, like, they like baiting that. The more you bait it, and the more you don't follow through, the more you just kill anyone's interest in it. I mean, truth be told, I'm not really into Son Amy. That's just an A to B ship as far as I'm concerned. It's boring, but, like, I'm like, oh, it's a matter of time until these Son Amy fans lose their patience, man. Like, there comes a point where it's like, okay, stop fucking baiting
already,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, well, and again, it's very clearly just like a higher-ups thing at this point of like, yeah, make their relationship even more will they, won't they than before. Like, they can't even have like their funny little, I'm going to hit you back and forth. We got to remove that too. We got to remove the slapstick. We got to remove Amy's over-the-top nature. And that's clearly like a top-down thing they're doing now. So that's, that's what I mean when it's like pathetic that Sega is like, you know what, this week, you can show a little bit of personality, Amy. Like, I don't blame the writers.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
don't blame the writers. Sega. This current regime is going to retire someday. I'm just saying, like, it's old people that are doing this.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, sorry. Next super chat. Second super chat. Let's go. Or third.
Yeah, there's more. It's because there was a gap between the. It doesn't matter. All right. I think it's my turn to read. No, it's not. Is it? Is it not? No, I. Who read the last one?
I don't know. You can go.
I don't know.
Oh wait, no. Okay, it's Dylan's turn to read.
Oh, okay.
Porker.
Let's see. Mr. Terry Chaos, the 2 pounds.
Mhm.
Have you played any of the Xbox 360 era Spider-Man games? I don't remember. Let me do a
Well,
list.
you know I
research
have.
real quick. Hold on.
So the Xbox 360 era for Spider-Man began with Spider-Man 3, the game. It's a turd. Now that game.
I have not played that.
The thing is, as goofy early Xbox 360 as it is, because like that's the main thing, is there's a lot of goofiness. There's a lot going for it, with the exception of difficulty balancing, because they will just drop you into like 2 consecutive boss fights that take 45 minutes each with no checkpoints. There's no post-hit invincibility or anything like that. The dodge system is just inferior to the one in Spider-Man 2, because it's metered, meaning that your dodge is metered. What the fuck do you mean a dodge is What am I supposed to do when the meter runs out? Just take it? Like, fuck you guys.
You have to put more coins in.
Yeah, like, no, it's just, like, Spider-Man 3, the game, the problem with it is just that it's clearly, obviously not play-tested, because if you put a playtester in front of this, they'd say, yeah, nah, mate, I'm not doing that. I can't think of many occasions where I've played a video game like a Spider-Man game, with an IP that I love, and I've just gone, yeah, you know what, you're good, mate, in the middle of it. I usually see Spider-Man games through, but this one I was like, yeah. I even beat the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game, alright? And that game sucks, but, like, at least the difficulty balancing is better than it is in Spider-Man 3, the game. Then there was Friend or Foe, which is just a children's beat-em-up game kind of thing. It's alright for what it is.
I played that one only. That's the only one on this list I think I've played.
What about Web of Shadows? You ever play that one?
No, but I've seen it. I've only ever played Friend or Foe. Was that on Wii as well? Or was that a...
Yeah, it was on most consoles, but, like,
I think I played it on Wii. And,
Web of Shadows is kind of a fan favorite, and, like, I do get it,
basically.
Because Web of Shadows is such a power fantasy, like, Spider-Man swinging feels really powerful, the combat feels really powerful, but it's just a beat-em-up. Like, you'll travel from A to B to beat up some enemies, travel to A to B to beat up some enemies, travel to A to B to beat up some enemies. And like, I was having this discussion with a pal of mine that was saying, like, oh, well, Web of Shadows did the whole symbiote invasion New York thing better than Marvel Spider-Man 2. I'm like, I disagree, man, because as soon as it became symbiote New York, it became a series of escort missions, and I fucking despise escort missions. Because you have to do everything at the game's pace at that point. Like, I just want to swing off into the sunset, fight some goons, rescue some people, do some shit. I do not want to be keeping pace with these mini helicarriers, which are slower than me. I don't want it. Stop. Never do that. Then after Web of Shadows, you had Shattered Dimensions, which a lot of people love that one too, but I just find that one repetitive as well. It is just beating things up. Then you take Shattered Dimensions for the sequel, Edge of Time, stick it all in one single building, taking away all level variation and the different art styles. So you take a gameplay style that was already repetitive and put it in repetitive environments. Like, yeah, nah, it kind of sucks. Then you had the 2 Amazing Spider-Man games. The first one was fine for what it was. The second one does not work. It's very funny how bad that game is. All right, that was a quick retrospective on the Xbox 360 era Spidey games. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.
Yeah, interesting.
All right, next one, Borger. Ian.
Belated Fox for 14 for the $5. Thank you. If Marvel wants to succeed, they need to make a Supio Foes movie.
Superior.
I don't know what that is.
Superior Foes. I think it's Superior Foes of Spider-Man. But then again, would
Oh,
that
okay.
not involve Superior Spider-Man? It's fun. We were having a conversation about Superior Spider-Man the other day, Dylan.
Yeah.
We should definitely
like
do an
those-
off-track about
I like those
Superior
comics a lot.
Spider-Man at some point.
I would probably have to go back through a lot, but
I mean, I just think our conversation we had
It's
the
been a
other day
while.
was enough for a podcast, to be honest. Like,
yeah, maybe yeah, definitely structure it more than we did this spoiler cast. I think that'd probably help. But
there's probably like
yeah, I
YouTube
mean, I wouldn't
videos
mind
that could
talking about that.
just, catch up some knowledge, anything that's been forgotten. But like,
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's what is meant by superior foes. Thank you, Bladed Fox 14, who's been very generous. I realize I logged that one twice, so I'm just going to delete that one. Borker. Winter Rain 1. Thank you, Winter Rain 1, with the $10 super chat. I heard some people think VMAX was going to lead to Phoenix Saga stuff, so I'm happy they decided not to do anything so we can have a Jean story without the Phoenix Force for once. Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, it could have just been Dark
Yeah,
Phoenix 3, the third time's the charm.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the X-Men, but whenever I hear the name Jean Grey, it's usually followed by something about Phoenix, whatever, and I get that it's like that's a huge thing. It's a big part of what happens to the character at some points, but like I do think it's fine to tell a story without the most well-known thing. I think that's see, he agrees with me.
Bentley agrees.
But I'm fine if they do that eventually. I think it probably hit harder after we spend more time with this version of Jean Grey. Like if she makes friends and
Oh, it's definitely the
has a
kind of
whole
thing
bunch
you
of
build up
adventures.
to. It's just very funny
Yeah.
because, like, Dark Phoenix is such a beloved X-Men story. It's been adapted twice in live action, and both times everyone hated it.
That's unfortunate.
It's because they didn't do a good job.
All right.
All right,
That's too
next
bad.
one.
All right.
Bjorger. Is it my turn? I think it's Dylan's turn.
Okay. KB999. Thank you, KB. I remember when I was frustrated. Oh, sorry. I remember when I was frustrated with the mandates that Sega enforced on post-reboot Archie. It's crazy how tame those mandates were compared to what we have now. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, like they definitely had different priorities back then, and I think I don't know. It makes me wonder if the Archie writers had more off the wall. I mean, clearly had more off the wall ideas for some things, but like maybe they just threw more at Sega to see what they could get away with than IDW does, or the IDW team just knows that they're not going to be able to get away with most things, so they don't even ask. But I imagine that they do ask certain things.
Basically, when they did like reboot Archie, it was basically just, hey, take kind of what you've got already, the characters that we're allowed to use, but make them more Sonic, basically. Make them fit in more with like the game universe and stuff like that.
Make them
Which is fair
boring as
enough.
hell.
But they were still able to do a lot more with Reboot in terms of just character emotions, even with the game cast. I think what it is with Archie and how I think why it ended up that way is just Archie was always a thing that they just didn't understand, but it kept making money. Like, it kept working and it had fandom. So
Yeah.
they're just like, all right, you just do your thing. And then when the reboot happened, they were like, all right, let's rein this in, let's rein this in a little bit, but still like, all right, but it's Archie. So like keep, I mean, the numbers still went up. It still went to like 250 to 252. They didn't reboot it to like number one. They were like, all right,
Correct
well,
me
it's
if
still
I'm
Archie.
wrong, but like post reboot Archie, one of the things they mandated was that Sonic can no longer be in relationships, but Sally, they kind of just hooked her up with Nicole, didn't they?
Yeah, they tried to do something with that. Yeah, and again, Sonic was still able to have like an array of emotions, even if he was a little more simplified. He was still a lot more like edgy and like had kind of his pre-boot kind of like
You can still get
snarkiness
like
to it.
mad at like the Babylons and stuff.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where I think, but once reboot ended, then they were like, okay, now Sega can come in and be like, okay, free reign, we're making a Sonic comic now, so like we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Where I think before, not even really probably to respect the fans of Archie, but they were probably just like, we don't understand how this is working, but it's working, so just keep doing your thing and don't fuck up. And then Archie fucked up, so they were like, all right, we're taking control now.
Yeah, I think like so those 2017 mandates and stuff. I think it sounds very dour. But I think the 2017 mandates were kind of the point where Sonic storytelling was finally broken permanently. Like, because we had like the late Archie mandates and stuff, and it was kind of a compromise. But it was still a book that was very driven by the creatives involved in it, while IDW is a corporate advertisement, basically. Like, and the 2017 mandates were controversial at the time because they introduced things like Team Dark are not friends, and there are things that they've kind of walked back a little bit there. But that was the point where it became so over-curated that the franchise, from a story perspective, is suffering. I think the Sonic franchise is in a fairly good position right now from like a game standpoint, from like a technical standpoint. I think we'll really see that come to fruition come the next mainline game. But story-wise, while yes, it's better than what we were getting in the 2010s, I think just the 2017 mandates prevented us from ever getting a special Sonic story ever again.
Well, and to your point, Dylan, from earlier, where you were like, why can we have Metal Virus, but we've never done anything like that again? And I do truly believe that early IDW, even though it was, Flynn would say like, oh, it was canon, which I'm sure that is what they told him. I feel like that was at the time where they were still being loose with that, because if you've noticed, we've never had an end of the world scenario since Metal Virus. And that is obviously not just because it's like, well, we already did an end of the world plot. You can't go any higher, as if Sonic isn't doing that every single game, right? So yeah. I really do think that the Metal Virus is an anomaly, just because I think that was in that weird period where
it's
the
not
comic
just that.
Wasn't exactly canon or not,
Metal Virus was originally intended to kick off around issue 300 of Archie. It was a holdover from the Archie days. I think as was the Angel Island saga as well, which would explain why it is so much more action-based than anything IDW would go on to do. But also, you just know how much better this would have been under Archie. Archie would have allowed them to acknowledge that Shadow was kinda right about Mr. Tinker. And with Archie, Sonic wouldn't just be kinda tired of the Metal Virus. He'd be fucking pissed. Like,
yeah.
I think he would have gone a lot more insane on Eggman. Like that scene where they're like, you were doing better. Like, you could have done great things, and instead you do this. And I think there would have been some actual... Not that wasn't, like, a good back and forth. I kind of liked some of it. But, like, I think in Archie, that would have been an insane scene between the two of them.
Yeah, it's also very funny with the Metal Virus. It's also very funny with the Metal Virus that it was also supposed to be an early preboot as well. It's because it was literally that Walking Dead was popular, and so the editor said, "Hey, Flint, can you write like a Walking Dead Sonic story?" And he was like,
instead it ended up
like,
more fucking relevant because a real virus happened at the same time.
Yeah, and then like immediately they were just like, just do your own thing. It doesn't really fucking matter. But
the
like,
thing is as well, like, if IDW with Metal Virus showed Sonic on the brink of his breaking point, Archie would have showed him at breaking point. Because Sonic was probably more shaken by the Metal Sally arc than he ever was Metal Virus.
Oh, yeah.
I think also it would have been really interesting to see what they did post that as well, because we had that very tiny wasted amnesia plotline for Sonic where he lands in the Soul Dimension. I think Archie would have ran with that and done a lot of cool shit with it. I think it would have lasted longer. I would hope. And I think that whole breaking point thing, I think it would have led really nicely into the amnesia thing, because think about it. Like, he goes past his breaking point. Maybe he even starts thinking it's not going to work, and they just barely scrape by the skin of their teeth. And then he gets so he's so exhausted after it. It's sort of like what happened to Shadow when in SA2, where he's exhausted, he loses super form, he falls back down to Earth, he gets, all that shit. That would have been such an interesting idea for Sonic, and it would have been even more interesting if Shadow was the one to try and go find him. Like, if that was a whole story where Shadow was trying to bring Sonic back from wherever he is. Like, he has to go help him out. He finds the amnesia Sonic, and he's like, like, maybe he even has to teach him some of the stuff that Sonic taught Shadow back in that time. But, no, we can't do that, because no interesting...
Because Shadow has to be one thing, Sonic has to be one thing. Everyone has to be one thing. And then when people get bored of that, they'll be like, "Oh, why isn't it relevant anymore?"
I'm still pissed about the amnesia thing. I think that would have been a really cool arc to have a Sonic, because even if it was Blaze teaching him all that stuff in the Soul Dimension, like, oh, I need to. That would have worked for her too, because Blaze is the one who Sonic had to teach, like, hey, you can rely on other people. You can do this. You can do that. Like, you don't have to be alone. That kind of thing. And if Amnesia Sonic was like, I'm fast as shit and I'm really cool and I can do so much stuff all on my own. Why would I need anybody else? Like, he starts learning the wrong lessons on his own. Having Blaze have to step in and like rein that back and be like, no, like you're the one who taught me that that's not the way to do things. Like, I think that would have been a really emotional, very cool story that they could have done. But I don't know.
I
they just
mean,
didn't
I
want
would
that to
say
happen.
I want to make one thing clear because I've been misconstrued in the past, and I haven't necessarily served myself well with wording in the past. So I want to make one thing
When I say
clear.
they, also, I don't mean the writers. I mean, obviously, maybe they wanted to do more, and then Sega said no. I imagine that's why the amnesia thing lasted one issue.
Okay, when I say I want to make one
But,
thing clear, that is not the time to jump in. So I want to make one thing clear and say, I'm not asking for anyone to get fired here, but I cannot fucking wait for the current old guard at Sega to retire. I can't fucking wait. Because when they do, we'll get interesting stories. We're waiting for that.
or things will get worse.
No, they won't. They won't. Like, the younger people are naturally more forward-thinking. Like, you gotta
hope-
think, the people running Sega are the same people running the world, the baby boomer generation. And I'm telling you, once they're gone, we gotta fucking fumigate this place. I mean, that's not applying to Sega. Obviously, that's a completely different set of... Like, you can't compare shitty comic writing to, like, I voted for Trump, but, like, you know what I'm saying. Like, just, there's a very close-minded, shitty generation that have hung onto their jobs too long that need to retire.
There we go.
Sega higher-ups, please retire. Retire immediately. Alright, next one. Porker. Was it you that read the last one, Dylan? So it'll be Ian's turn. Okay, right.
Yeah,
okay.
I just read that.
Porker. Ian, you're up.
Is this the last one?
It is. It's the final super chat.
All right, KB for the $1.99 US dollars. Thank you, KB. Sega is now as protective of its IP as Nintendo is. I definitely wouldn't say that. Sega is very, very kind to fan works, and it's kind of insane how I've said this in the past. They basically treat Sonic as if he is public domain. Like they really don't care what fans do, which is I think is very admirable. And it's kind of why I think they've held. I think that's also why they've held so much good faith for so long. Even when Sonic is at its low point, it's like, well, we at least have fan games, and Sega is fine with them, and we'll hire you.
And if that were true, Iizuka would have written the Sonic movies. Like, the same way Miyamoto was writing for the Mario movies and shit.
Yeah, no, while they obviously want to keep a close grip on their, like,
but
their
KB didn't mean it
aspect
that
of
way. It is worth noting. KB's, quickly guided to say we didn't.
Oh, yeah, no, I just want...
I think we're referring more to...
I do agree as far as the characterization goes.
Yeah, I think the thing is, you can see that, like, especially since, like, 2013, or 2010 even, Sega have taken a lot of cues from Nintendo. But the thing that Sega really needed in their heads many years before Zavok existed and they decided to give Sonic his own Bowser is that Sonic is not Mario. Sonic does hinge on narrative and story. He always has. Like, Sonic 3 and Knuckles had a pretty fucking bonkers story considering the kind of game that it was. Mario and Sonic are not the same. What works for Mario does not work for Sonic. The only thing that works for Mario that would work for Sonic is the quality of the product.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, KB, I didn't mean to undermine your point. But yeah, because I just thought it was an interesting topic. So, but yeah, no, I definitely agree that Sega has been taking more and more cues from that in terms of how they treat the characters themselves.
And
even if they are still
behavior,
more...
by the way. It's pussy boy behavior.
Indeed. But thank you, KB, for the $1.99.
All right, well, so ends another episode of Sunset City.
Yeah. So that I like how we all said, "Hey, I'm tired. Let's not make this a long one." And this has been long as fuck.
Yeah. Well, thankfully you guys carried it while I recharged, and then I could kind of interact with the super chat. So sorry about that.
That's all right.
No worries. I almost felt like I overrode you a lot, and I was like, "Fuck, I can't keep talking over Ian."
No, you're good. I'm like barely alive, so it's fine.
Are you okay there, Ian?
Okay.
You sleepy?
Oh, I just I'm back to my mowing job, and so we had like a bunch of extra stuff to do today, and it was really hot. So my whole body's like, die,
It
go to
was
sleep.
hot as shit today.
Do you need a
Yeah.
snack? Would you like a snack? I mean, I myself, so I'm currently weaning off of sertraline, moving on to new medication and stuff. And the weaning process ups your sleep demand insanely. Like, I did not anticipate just how much sleep I would get over the past few days because I really need it. And it just... I was asleep before I did this podcast. I just want to say that, right?
Yeah, we were like, where's Pup?
Well, I mean, it was going to be a later thing anyway, just because I wanted to make sure that Dylan didn't have to rush.
Indeed. But hey, speaking of Dylan, what are you doing right now? And on your channel and in life?
Not much. I'm just kind of. I've been watching a lot of Superman TV shows. That's basically what I've been doing lately. I destroyed my Game Boy Advance today by mistake, which was very upsetting because it was modded and it was worth $200. So I kind of ate shit, slipped on the floor, and dropped it, and it just died. So that was not great. And then I went to work for 6 hours, and yeah, now I'm here. I don't have a whole lot going on. I keep thinking about things I want to do, like stream or make videos, and then I get home and I'm like, no, nope,
Fair.
tired, don't want to do that. And
But at least you're still on the podcast, so thanks for joining.
yeah, no, yeah, definitely. What are you up to, Ian?
I'm doing nothing as always. I'm mostly just working and saving money. But you know, the things that the actual thing I am working on in the background seems to be picking up a lot more momentum as well. So you know, next year you will all have something from something from Ian Waffles. So until then, and Pop, what are you up to?
It will be worth it.
Thank you.
I did a video today on why Skylar White was not the problem. It's a video essay in a YouTube short. You should go check it out. It's full of substance.
Definitely watch the YouTube short.
Yeah, you gotta see it. Yeah, it's you'll get a lot out of it. Like, I think I make the message clear. And then also today I did a little live stream where I did some photo mode foibles in Marvel Spider-Man 2 in celebration of Insomniac fixing the fucking brand new day suit so it's no longer orange. Genuinely incredibly grateful for that, by the way. I've got more stuff in the works, including a video that's going to break down the story mechanics of IDW Sonic, while also providing examples of where other Sonic media has done structures that IDW have done, but done it a lot better as well. So be on the lookout for that. There is still the Woody essay that it's in the works. It's going to take a little bit, but it's in the works. And I do want to do a video on Batman Cape Crusader soon, because Season 2 dropped, and it's very enjoyable so far. The animation's taken a bit of a hit, sadly, in Season 2. It's very obviously rigged animation now, but, it's just sad that the animation economy has backslid that much. But yeah, that's what you could expect from me. Yeah, so
All right.
Skylar White was not the problem,
Looking forward
is
to
the
it.
main one. That's the main one to watch.
Dude, I saw that upload, and I'm not gonna lie, my first thought was, yeah, of course not. You know, like, she was of course not the problem. Her fucking husband becomes a drug lord kingpin and ruins
No, I agree.
everyone's
Yeah,
lives.
right? No, you're
It's so
right.
funny.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
if you go on like the hated characters wiki and stuff, she's like
Oh,
there,
yeah, I
like
know. People
she's
hate her.
notorious. I was when I told people I'm watching Breaking Bad, people were like, oh yeah, what do you think of Skylar? And I'm just like, well, she's got communication issues, and smoking while pregnant's definitely not a good idea.
She's not perfect. She's not a
but
perfect
she's
human,
not
but no one in
the
the show
problem.
is. Like, it's, yeah.
The might be people
The
that's like,
problem
oh,
with the whole
I
thing
just
is
really
that-
wish she was always in Walter's way. It's like, well, that's probably a good thing, because Walter was terrible.
That's the thing. Walter is the protagonist of the show, so anyone who stands in his way that isn't, like, funny or, like, a really memorable villain is a character that people are... Especially because it's like, oh, she's trying to ruin, like, this whole thing he's got going on. It's like, he's a drug lord kingpin. Like, he is a bad man. That is the whole point of the show. He turns from a regular guy into a horrible, despicable, horrible man. And of course, it's like, if she steps in, it's like, hey, don't do that, or please don't be horrible. And you're like, oh yeah, she's the problem. It's like, no,
Also,
no, no,
I
no.
won't lie.
You just
know,
like Walter because he's the protagonist, basically.
call me cringe if you want, but it's misogyny. Like, misogyny is definitely an element here.
That too. Yeah.
Because there's also that element with Spider-Man fans as well. Like, the way people talk about MJ in the Raimi movies, they're quick to call out all of her problems, which are there. They are there. No one ever mentions the fact that the through line between Peter, Harry, and MJ is that every one of them is massively emotionally stunted in some regard by their experiences. But people only ever talk about MJ.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it's still
In the same way that
will still
Sonic
do
and
that
Knuckles,
with, like, a lot of things. Yeah.
in the same way that Sonic and Knuckles can beat each other up over a minor disagreement, and we all agree it's slapstick cartoon animals, but the second Amy does it, it's suddenly problematic.
Oh yeah, it's just simply people finding them annoying, and there's a lot in common with that. Now,
It's
obviously,
because the Goral characters have an obligation
Yeah.
to be pleasant. That's all it is. And Sega bent the knee, as far as I'm concerned, with the current Amy.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I would love to get into this more. I know we're
Let's
ending
go.
the thing now, but
Let's
I
go.
gotta go. I gotta
Let's
run
go.
now. So
Let's fucking go. Good night, everybody.
yeah, let's go.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for being here,
See ya.
everybody. Goodbye.